Chapter 1085. The Heaven's Mandate Mirror had fallen, but the crisis of the Blood Realm was still not over. At this time, sadness was no longer of any use. As one of the 8 barren divine artifacts, the Heaven's Mandate Mirror still guarded the will of the 8 great elites at the last moment. At the last moment, it sacrificed itself to block He Yao's attack. At this time, they couldn't let Ji Rumo's sacrifice go to waste. They had to complete the last step of the new Dutian blood seal. The basic drawing of the blood seal had been completed. The rest was up to Gufing to merge the luminous sun ball and the magic formation into one. Yun Sheng, tell Ling Er that I will always be here to pray for her. Gufing's eyes were unusually determined. Gufing, what's going on? After experiencing Ji Rumo's sudden death, Yun Sheng was still a little sad. However, from Elder Si Ming's and Gu Feng's tone, she could still hear something unusual. Could it be that drawing the new Dutian blood seal wasn't as simple as she and Ling Er thought? Don't you know that because of the lack of the 8 barren divine artifacts and the blood of the Bakra orcs, in order to reactivate the new Dutian blood seal, Gufing must be the eye of the formation and uses light magic to form the new Dutian blood seal. Once the blood seal is formed, Gufing must be sealed in the Dutian blood seal forever. Elder Si Ming looked at Yun Sheng and the others' reactions. It seemed that they didn't know what Gufing was going to do next. Elder Si Ming was suspicious, but Gufing lowered his head and didn't say a word. Yun Sheng and Qi were both stunned. With Gufing as the eye of the formation, he was going to be sealed in the new Dutian blood seal forever. Didn't that mean that Gufing had to stay here? He was like a candle, supporting the Dutian blood seal with his life. Why had Gu Feng, this silly boy, never mentioned it before? How could he sacrifice himself? Just when Yun Sheng and Qi were about to dissuade Qi Muguan, a series of hurried footsteps could be heard from behind them. Dong Wang Ling, and the Yuan family siblings who had gone to stop Qi Muguan and the others earlier had also rushed over. Everyone was shocked by the corpses of the Dark Qilin warriors on the ground, but when they heard Elder Si Ming's words, they were even more shocked. No! Dong Wang Ling, face was filled with tears. Just now, when Dong Wang Ling rushed over and saw the terrifying battle chi fluctuation coming from the Dutian blood seal, she knew that the powerful He Yao must be at the Dutian blood seal. She was afraid that something would happen to Gufing, so she ran all the way. At that time, Dong Wang Linger knew that in her heart, she had never been able to let go of Gufing. Dong Wang Ling regretted. What high hopes of her mother, the heavy responsibility of being the queen of the Eastern Imperial Dynasty. At that moment, none of them were as important as Gufing's life and death. After all, she was not the Empress of the Eastern Imperial Dynasty. She would rather be a little girl. When she arrived at the Dutian blood seal and saw Gufing's familiar figure, Dong Wang Ling let out a sigh of relief. But at that moment, she heard that Gufing was going to sacrifice himself and use the light sphere to restart the Dutian blood seal. She only felt that her head was buzzing. She couldn't hear anything. She couldn't see anything. There was only one voice in her heart. No matter what, she must stop Gufing. She couldn't live without Gufing. Gufing, did you forget that you promised to take care of me for the rest of my life, no matter what I become? Dong Wang Ling cried out. Hearing Dong Wang Ling's words, Gufing's heart ached. When Dong Wang Ling was harmed by the soul snake and almost became an idiot, Gufing had whispered those words to her countless times. He said that no matter if she became a princess or a commoner in the future, no matter if she grew old or ugly, he would never leave her and treat her the same. At that time, Dong Wang Ling didn't give Gufing any response. It was just that he didn't expect that she would reply to Gufing at this moment. She remembered. She actually remembered those words of his. Ling I'm very sorry. I promised that I would always take care of you. But this time, I'm afraid that there's no other way. Seeing Ling tear-filled face, Gufing's heart ached. He wanted to go forward, hug Dong Wang Ling and comfort her. However, he didn't even have the courage to go forward. Gufing resolutely turned around, no longer looking at Ling-er's sorrowful eyes. Gufing was never a brave person. He was worried that if he were to go forward, he would be moved by Ling Er's tears and change his original intention. No! Ling Er pounced forward and hugged Goofing from behind, ignoring everyone's gaze. She hugged his waist tightly, unwilling to let go. Compared to death, the pain of separation was more painful. Dongwang Ling couldn't bear to be separated from Goofing in the future. Miss Dongwang, please reconsider. The relationship between you and Goofing is very touching. However, if you insist on doing things your own way, whether it's the Boundless Continent or the Eastern Capital, the peace of the Boundless Continent for nearly 10,000 years will be destroyed. Countless people will be hurt under the iron hooves of the Bakra orcs, and the continent will never be peaceful again. Elder Si Ming sighed. In order to protect Yun Sheng, in order to protect the Boundless Continent, Ji Rumo was willing to give up the divine power that he had gathered for thousands of years to form his physical body. Goofing could only give up his personal feelings. Dongwang Ling was also very clear that what Elder Si Ming said was right. However, her hands seemed to have lost control. No matter what, she refused to let go of Goofing. She knew that once she let go, she would never have the chance to see Goofing again. Feeling the girl's soft body and her hot tears wet his clothes, Goofing bit his lips until he tasted blood. He choked with sobs in his throat. He resisted, not allowing himself to be shaken, and not letting Ling discover his sadness. Ling I am a coward. In this life, I will only be brave this time. I can't bear to leave you. However, for the safety of the continent, and also for you and the Dongwang dynasty, for Yun Sheng and the others, and for everyone, I have to do this. Goofing struggled to break free from Ling Er's hands, leaving her with an empty back. Sob. Dongwang Ling couldn't help but kneel on the ground. Yun Sheng walked up to her and hugged her shoulders tightly. Dongwang Ling cried as she looked at Goofing and Elder Si Ming. Yun Sheng, he doesn't want me anymore. When her father died, Dongwang Ling didn't cry. When her brother became a fool, Dongwang Ling didn't cry. Even when she cut off her feelings for Goofing, Dongwang Ling also held back her tears. However, this time, she couldn't hold it back anymore. She cried like a helpless child. Ling it's not that he doesn't want you anymore. He wants to protect you, to protect us. Yun Sheng's eyes were red. She also couldn't bear to part with Goofing. However, Goofing's decision was right. If she was Goofing, she would also do the same. Goofing had always been regarded as the weakest among them. However, this time, he was stronger than anyone else. Chapter 1086. Seeing that Dongwang Ling was still crying, Yun Sheng could only harden her heart and secretly activate the power of the Dark Needle. A Dark Needle shot into Dongwang Ling sleeping acupoint. Dongwang Ling felt her body go numb and sleepy. She leaned on Yun Sheng's body and fell asleep. Seeing this, Goofing nodded at Yun Sheng gratefully. Yun Sheng had always been the one who understood him the most. Unexpectedly, Yun Sheng glared at Goofing fiercely. Goofing, you bastard. How dare you hide such an important thing from us? Remember, you must succeed and wait for us in the Dutian Blood Seal. I will definitely find a way to get you out. Yun Sheng secretly swore in her heart that she would definitely not let Goofing be sealed in the Blood Seal. She would definitely think of a way. That's right, Goofing. Not only is Ling waiting for you, we are also waiting for you. You must hold on until Yun Sheng and I find a way to save you, Chi said in unison. Seeing the sincere eyes of his friends and their determined voices, Goofing's eyes couldn't help but turn red. He nodded solemnly. No matter when, he, Yun Sheng, Chi, and Ling would always be together. Goofing and Elder Si Ming stood in the middle of the newly drawn heavenly blood seal. Goofing, Rumo is right. You are the one who can see the most clearly among all of us. You are also very lucky to have a group of companions who are willing to go through life and death for you. Elder Si Ming looked at Goofing with a new gaze. Just now, the words of Yun Sheng and Goofing's group of companions had deeply touched Elder Si Ming. All along, the Temple of Dharma had been protecting Wuji and its people. However, when faced with real danger, they were not as resolute as a normal magician like Goofing. This group of young magicians might not be able to compete with the powerful Bakra orcs with their current strength. However, they had unshakable faith and the most sincere friendship. One day, this group of people would grow and become the backbone of the boundless world. However, don't worry. Before Rumo died, he injected half of his mana into this magic array. This way, your consumption will be greatly reduced. After you use the Light Sun Ball, I will put you into a state of suspended animation for a while. This way, you will consume less life mana. If there is a day, you will be able to replace you and become the eye of the array. Perhaps there will be a day when you will meet again. Elder's words stunned Goofing's words. But, Elder Si Ming, if you do that, won't you? If you did that, Elder Si Ming's mana would be greatly depleted. Just like Jirumo, Elder Si Ming had also used a large amount of mana to draw the magic array. If he helped Goofing, his mana would be almost completely depleted. In that case, wouldn't he? The Emperor Zao in red was dead, and so was Jirumo. Elder Si Ming was suddenly enlightened. All the grudges and hatred were no longer important. The most important thing now was to help Goofing reactivate the Dutian blood seal. As long as he could do that, Elder Si Ming would not hesitate even if he had to sacrifice his cultivation. Before He Yao escaped, he tore open another crack in space. This crack undoubtedly caused the Dutian blood seal to be damaged even more. Only when Goofing obtained more power could the Dutian blood seal be successfully reconstructed. Having lived to this age, this old man is already nearing the end of his life. I have no regrets even if I die. There is already a successor on the continent. Elder Si Ming looked at the young men and women outside the Dutian blood seal with relief. This battle was exceptionally cruel, but also gave Elder Si Ming hope. Even if the Law Temple was no longer around, there would still be many outstanding magicians on the continent. Yun Sheng, Yi Baiming, the magician elite camp of the continent. He could go without worry. Goofing still wanted to say something. However, Elder Si Ming shook his head and suddenly chanted. His lost spirit appeared in his body. The power of his lost spirit was like warm sunlight. Strands of mana flowed into Goofing's body without reservation. Goofing's lost spirit, which was originally not very strong, was nourished by Elder Si Ming's lost spirit. It was like a sprout that was nourished by the spring rain, rapidly growing stronger and stronger. Peak Sky Magician, Saint-level Law Overlord, Goofing's light law spirit was rapidly expanding. Witnessing this scene, apart from being shocked, the crowd could not help but feel deeply moved by Elder Si Ming's actions. He was sacrificing his life in exchange for the future of the continent. If Goofing's power increased, the new Dutian blood seal would be stronger, and the chances of stopping the invasion of the Bakra orcs would increase greatly. Just as Goofing was absorbing Elder Si Ming's mana, the air above the Dutian blood realm was churning. At that moment, at the entrance of the blood realm that was dozens of meters wide, about 100 miles away from the entrance of the blood realm, in the chaos zone, several groups of people were rushing toward the boundless continent. This time, there were two groups of people from different Bahuang tribes. Among them, there were handsome D clan warriors. Most of them were about 189 meters tall, wearing purple battle helmets and holding sharp spears. On the other side, there were golden rock warriors from the Nine Phoenix tribe. Each of them was like the wind, and their footsteps were neat. However, unlike the Black Shielan tribe who took the lead earlier, the pace of these troops was not hurried, especially the golden rock warriors of the Nine Phoenix tribe. One must know that the Nine Phoenix tribe had always been known as the tribe with the best movement techniques and the fastest speed among the 8 Wastelands beasts. However, this time, after the beast god Alter gave the order to invade the boundless continent, Green, as the young leader of the Nine Phoenix tribe, was lazy. From the time he gathered his troops to the time he sent them out, everything was done slowly. It did not look like he was going to war at all. Instead, he looked like he was going on a sightseeing tour. Green, according to your speed, by the time you reach the boundless land, I'm afraid that the Black Shielan tribe and the other tribes will have already seized the opportunity. Seeing his good friend like this, Purple could not bear to continue watching, and he glanced at his good friend with some resentment. After all, the Nine Phoenix tribe and the D clan were the superior beast tribes among the Bakra orcs. If the two of them did not get any military merits after sending out their troops, they would not be able to report back to their superiors. I heard that He Yao is going out personally. The result is the same, even if we arrive early or late. The group of men from the Black Chelan tribe are typical battle maniacs. A man in a green robe stood beside Purple. If it wasn't for Purple directly calling out Green's name, it would be very hard for anyone to believe that the little Shota Green of the Nine Yuan clan, who was still as beautiful as a young girl 3 years ago, would actually undergo such a huge change in just a few short years. New Year's Eve. Remember to throw away your monthly ticket. Chapter 1087. Green no longer looked like a 13 or 14-year-old boy. His figure was a little thinner than Z, the strong young patriarch of the D clan. However, both of them were about the same height, about 1.9 meters. Luan was a kind of Bakra orcs with the bloodline of the Phoenix. The men and women of Bakra orcs mostly had outstanding looks, but they also had the powerful strength of the Phoenix. As the young master of the Nine Yuan tribe, Green was very beautiful since birth. But compared to the youthful beauty of a few years ago, Green was becoming more and more beautiful after fusing with the Nine Yuan King's relic. His eyes were like stars, his lips were like cherry blossoms, his skin was as white as porcelain, and his figure was as elegant as a jade tree. But if anyone thought that Green's strength was as harmless as his appearance, they would be wrong, because his eyes would inadvertently flash with a trace of sharpness. The effect of the Nine Yuan King's relic was gradually revealed on his body. Green, did you really slow down on purpose just to avoid He Yao's attack? This belief was written all over Z Kuku's face. It was undeniable that the Black Chelan tribe was very strong, but the Nine Yuan tribe and the D clan were not soft persimmons. Would Green really be afraid of He Yao and his daughter? Perhaps not. Green pursed his lips, his eyes glimmered like a wrinkled lake in the spring breeze. Unconsciously, a face appeared in his mind. It was a face with various expressions, angry, emotionless, and cold. But no matter what kind of expression fell on that woman, it was exceptionally beautiful. Yin Sheng, this time, I will meet you again. Green's heart unconsciously became nervous. Z was right. He was not afraid of He Yao, although He Yao was strong. But with the Beast God altar and with the D clan, even He Yao could not do anything to them. But if he met Yin Sheng, what should he do? Once the Dutian blood seal was destroyed, the relationship between the human race and the Bakra orcs would be like fire and water. A war between the two races would break out at any moment. As the young clan leader of the Nine Phoenix tribe, he would definitely take the lead and kill the human race. However, if the person standing in front of him was Yin Sheng, what would he do? Green hesitated. Suddenly, there was a magical fluctuation in front of them. A figure staggered into their line of sight. It's Chi Muwan. Why is he alone? I heard that the Boss Serpent tribe sent out several hundred elites this time, saying that they want to take first place. Her purple eyes were filled with curiosity. Seeing green and purple, Chi Muwan's face inevitably turned a little ugly. He pretended not to see them and turned around to leave. He had only taken a few steps when a flash appeared in front of his eyes. Purple had already stopped him. Chi Muwan's expression became even more awkward. He had been hoping to be the first to occupy the boundless continent, but he had ended up worse off. Not only had he failed to gain any benefits, but he had also been annihilated. Furthermore, his dermic soul had been damaged. This matter definitely could not be discovered by Purple and Green. Chi Muguan is a member of the 8 Wastelands Beast clans. You're leaving without even saying goodbye. What is the meaning of this? Z didn't have a good impression of the Boss Serpent tribe. However, seeing them acting suspiciously, she couldn't help being a bit suspicious. Purple glanced at Chi Muguan a few times. When her gaze landed on Chi Muguan's eyes, it was as if there were needles on his back. It was as embarrassing as it could be. I found the entrance to the Blood Realm and was about to inform everyone. Coincidentally, I met you guys. Chi Muguan was unlucky, but he did not want others to have it easy either. When he saw that Purple and Green were strong, A vicious plan suddenly appeared in his mind. Qi Muguan thought to himself, I'll send you two to your deaths. When the time comes, you will end up like me. Let's see if you still dare to laugh at me. Oh, where's the entrance to the Blood Realm? Green raised his eyebrows and asked casually. It's not far ahead. Hurry up and go. If you are late and other bees get there first, it will be too late for regrets. Qi Muguan was secretly happy that Green and Purple had fallen for his trick. There's no time to lose. Let's go there right away. Zi gave the order, and the D-Clan's warriors rushed forward without stopping. Wait. Green pressed down on Qi Muguan's shoulder and suddenly exerted force with his 5 fingers. Qi Muguan screamed in pain. His right shoulder had been dislocated. Green, you lunatic, what are you doing? Qi Muguan was in so much pain that his eyes turned white. He almost fainted. Qi Muguan, what kind of person are you? Why are you so kind? Tell me, what happened in the Duqian Blood Realm? Green's handsome face came closer. In Qi Muguan's eyes, he only felt that it was incomparably ferocious. I'm telling the truth. Qi Muguan would not admit it, even if he was beaten to death. Since you're not willing to tell the truth, don't blame me for being merciless. 9 Phoenix Inheritance, Soul Search. Green snorted coldly. In between his hands, a 5-colored soul energy was injected into Qi Muguan's body. The 5-colored soul energy was different from normal magic power in Duqi. It seeped into the skin and rushed toward Qi Muguan's Dharma spirit in an instant. The 9 Phoenix clan, D-Clan, and Black Qilin clan were called Superior Beast clans. They did not have the tyrannical warrior physique of the Black Qilin clan, nor did they have the D-Clan's talent in healing. However, the 9 Phoenix clan had a talent that other beast clans could not compare to. That was the ability to cultivate soul energy. Green's first inheritance was Soul Search. It could forcefully search a person's real memory. However, if the control of Soul Search was not controlled properly, it could easily damage the Dharma spirit. If the Dharma spirit was damaged, it would affect the later cultivation. A few years ago, Green did not like to use Soul Search. However, ever since he returned from the Duqian Blood Realm, his temperament had changed. His attacks were also much more vicious. Purple saw this and was very happy. This made Green even more suitable to lead the 9 Phoenix clan and fight against the Black Qilin clan. Purple had long realized that although Green looked sloppy, in reality, Green was much more talented than him and He Linlin. It was just that this kid was too lazy and kept a low profile in the early years. Qi Muguan, this kid, had hit the nail on the head. In order to deceive Green and Purple, Qi Muguan pretended that he was fine. However, Green felt that his breathing was rapid. Furthermore, the magic waves around his body were much weaker than usual. After searching for a while, Green's face darkened. Qi Muguan, you actually dared to deceive us. Qi Muguan's memory was completely restored. He had been attacked by one of the 8 barren divine weapons, Dongwang Qing, and an unknown divine weapon. Furthermore, not long after Qi Muguan escaped from the Bloody Sky Metropolis world, he felt the power of another 8 barren divine implement. Looking at the situation, it seemed that the 8 barren divine implement had clashed directly with the Black Qilin clan. The power of that divine implement was much stronger than Dongwang Qing's. Not long after that divine weapon appeared, the aura of the Black Qilin warriors in the Blood Realm disappeared. Everyone, Happy New Year. I wish everyone a Happy New Year. Chapter 1088. What? The aura of the Black Qilin clan disappeared? How is that possible? The Black Qilin clan sent out 1,000 warriors, led by He Yao and He Linlin. Z couldn't believe it. Even the warriors of the D clan and the 9 Phoenix clan didn't believe it, let alone Z. The 1,000 elites of the Black Qilin clan weren't easy to deal with. He Yao alone was more powerful than tens of thousands of people. He Yao was known as the most powerful leader of the Bakra orcs in recent years. Even the leaders of the 9 Phoenix clan and the D clan might not be able to defeat him. The soul searching can't be wrong. The humans have probably found other 8 barren artifacts. If I'm not wrong, the artifact that defeated He Yao is the legendary Heavenly Fate Mirror, which can reflect all magic and combat skills. Green had studied the 8 Baron artifacts. Among the 8 Baron artifacts, most of them were controlled by humans. Only the Heavenly Mandate Mirror was stronger when facing a stronger opponent. Rather than saying that He Yao was defeated by the Heavenly Mandate Mirror, it was more accurate to say that he was defeated by himself. In that case, doesn't the human clan have 2 8 Baron Divine artifacts? Purple was also frightened. No, the humans are cunning. I'm afraid they have more than 2 divine weapons. Green thought that the humans must have other 8 Baron Divine weapons. Chimu-wan, how dare you lie to us? Do you believe that I'll kill you? Zichi's face was frosty. He almost fell for it. He lifted Chimu-wan up and was about to flare up. I'm a young leader of the Bash tribe. If you dare to hurt me, my father won't let you go, Chimu-wan shouted. Z, let him go. Green gave Z a look. Z had no choice but to let go. Chimu-wan hurriedly crawled up and fled in a sorry state. Why didn't you let me kill him? Z hated people like Chimu-wan who backstabbed others. It's not time to kill him yet. I left a soul seed in his Dharma soul. Green's eyes were deep. Z's eyes narrowed. Green had planted a soul seed in Chimu-wan's Dharma soul in an instant just now. As Green's best friend since childhood, Purple was one of the few people who knew about Green's inheritance. Green's first inheritance was the soul search that he had used on Chimu-wan earlier. The second inheritance was the soul devouring. It was to absorb the opponent's magic soul for his own use. Green's third inheritance was obtained after he obtained the 9 Lawn King's Saraira. It was also Green's most powerful inheritance, the soul seed. The soul seed was a special kind of magic power. It could absorb the power of a person's mana soul without anyone noticing. Once the soul seed matured, the person who was planted with the soul seed would become a puppet, completely under Green's control. Speaking of which, Green's soul seed was similar to the Heart Distress Lantern, one of the 8 Baron's divine artifacts, and the corpse puppet technique of the Celestial Fox people. However, it was different from the Heart's Lantern corpse puppet technique. There was no way to get rid of the green soul seed. The only way to get rid of the soul seed was to detonate the soul seed. However, if that were to happen, the person who was implanted with the soul seed would definitely die. Chimu-wan had been struck by Green's soul seed. His future outcome would undoubtedly be 100 times more miserable than death. Why would Green use such a despicable method? He was really different from before. What exactly caused such a huge change in him? Z thought to herself. Green's eyes were also flickering. In fact, he did not tell Z all of Chimu-wan's memories truthfully. According to Chimu-wan's memories, the group of people who used the 8 Barons' divine artifacts in the Blood World were the people from the mainland's magic elite camp that they had encountered earlier. After Green returned to the 8 Barons' continent, he had already investigated. Yun Sheng was from the mainland's magic elite camp. Moreover, she was one of the most outstanding students in the camp. Green sighed in his heart. There was an indescribable sense of melancholy. Green, what should we do next? If even He Yao did not gain any benefits, even if we go to the Dutian Blood World, we will only be asking for trouble. Z muttered. As they spoke, a beastly roar that sounded like a cheetah's roar came from the Chaos Zone. Hearing the roar, Green's eyes changed. He and Z looked at each other. It's the Beast God Altar's call signal. Green and Z recognized it. It was the Beast God Altar's call signal. This time, the Beast God Altar sent the 3rd and 5th priests. The call signal was sent by the 5th priest. Z did not like the 3rd priest. The 3rd priest was lustful. In his early years, he had robbed some outstanding young men and women from the D clan. As the young master of the 9 Phoenix tribe, Green did not want to wallow in the mire with those people. If that's the case, why don't we hide in the Dutian Blood World first and wait for an opportunity to act? Z and Green ignored the call signal and rushed towards the entrance of the Blood World that Chimu-wan had mentioned earlier. They planned to enter the Blood World before the 3rd priest. The one who sent the call signal was indeed the 3rd priest of the Beast God Altar. The 3rd priest was in a part of the Chaos Zone where the magic barrier was relatively weak. He was waiting for the arrival of the other Bakra orcs. The 3rd priest was a middle-aged man about 30 or 40 years old. His face was ashen, and he looked like he had overindulged. At this time, the third priest's face was gloomy. After hearing the call signal, the first to arrive was the beaming tribe of the Bakra orcs. After that, the Blue Hell Wolf tribe and the Celestial Fox people arrived one after another. What's the matter with the other tribes? How dare they defy the beast god, Altar's order? When we return, I must report this to the first priest. The third priest was originally going to travel with the fifth priest. However, the fifth priest was greedy and rushed into the Dutian blood world first. Thus, the third priest was left alone. Once she left, there was no news of her. The third priest tried to contact her several times, but he could not reach her. The third priest did not expect that the fifth priest had met with misfortune. After all, in the third priest's opinion, the fifth priest's ability to control corpses was unmatched by the human race. He thought that the fifth priest had colluded with the Black Chelan tribe to steal the credit. Thus, the third priest was anxious to enter the blood world. However, when he forcefully broke through the seal of the blood world, he discovered that the human race's magic barrier seemed to have changed. Originally, after the Dutian blood seal collapsed, the magic barrier between the 8 desolates and the boundless continent was constantly weakening. In the end, the magic barrier would completely disappear. However, after searching for a while, the third priest discovered that the magic barrier, which was originally weak, was constantly strengthening. This trend shocked the third priest. There was only one possibility for the magic barrier to keep strengthening. That was the human race had found a way to redraw the Dutian blood seal. Happy Year of the Goat. Happy New Year to everyone. May everything go well and be healthy. Chapter 1089. The humans are repairing the Dutian blood seal. We have to kill them before they repair it. Otherwise, once the blood seal is reconstructed, it'll be difficult to invade again. The other clans have not arrived yet, so let's not wait for them. All of you, listen to my orders. Split up. I want to force my way through and stop the humans from reconstructing the heavenly blood seal. What the third shaman meant was that he wanted the other tribes to cooperate with him. Although the other Bakra Orcs warriors were unwilling, they could not disobey the third shaman because he was from the beast god Altar. Therefore, the third shaman and the Bakra Orcs led their respective forces and started to attack. At this time, Goofing had obtained most of Elder Si Ming's Dharma Soul power and was on the verge of breaking through to transcendence. However, right at this moment, several powerful energy ripples appeared in the sky above the Metropolis blood seal. Not good. There are at least 4 Bakra Orcs forces trying to break into the blood world. Everyone outside the Dutian blood seal looked up at the sky. Everyone, stop the beast for now. After 15 minutes, we can reconstruct the Dutian blood seal, Elder Si Ming shouted. As soon as he finished speaking, bang, bang, in the sky, many black shadows rushed out. Those black shadows rushed towards the core area of the Dutian blood seal where Goofing and Elder Si Ming were at. Obviously, the other party already knew that Goofing and the others were the key to reconstructing the blood seal this time. At this moment, Senior Sister Lon and the others also rushed over with their people. The situation is urgent. Everyone spread out immediately. We only need 15 more minutes. Yun Sheng and the others had finished their discussion in the blink of an eye. Suddenly, they split into 4 different forces and flew toward the forces of the 8 Wasteland Beast clans. Sister Lon led the continent's magic elite camp. Yin Sanlong and Yuan Byuku led the Hunter Corps. Yun Sheng and Ling led a group of magical beasts, and Yi Baiming and Tai Kunjin formed an army. On the Boundless Continent's side, 4 teams were swiftly formed, and they headed towards the 4 directions of the Dutian bloodstains. Tisk, ignorant humans, you actually dare to obstruct my Blue Abyss Wolf clan. The people who bumped into Sister Lon and the others were the Blue Abyss Wolves of the 8 Desolation tribe. The wolf warriors of the Dark Green Wolf tribe howled at the Sky Wolf and turned into werewolf warriors. The snow domain is frozen. A trace of coldness flashed across Senior Sisterland's face. Enemies were truly bound to meet on a narrow road. Earlier, she'd once suffered a loss at the hands of the young patriarch of the Green Nether Wolves, Chinya. This time, she wanted to take revenge. Ice blue water element surged out from Blue's body. In an instant, several wolf warriors of the Blue Netherwolf tribe were sealed in ice. Kill! The mages of the elite mage camp from the continent all displayed their abilities. They charged forward like fleas and killed the werewolves. Humans, I am Rita from the Behemoth tribe. If you have the guts, fight me. The leader of the Behemoth tribe this time was the ugly female giant Rita. She had successfully merged with a portion of the Behemoth King Sarira. She charged forward and swung her arms like two sticks. In an instant, many of the hunters from the Heaven Extermination hunting troop were flung away. At this moment, a figure descended from the sky like a javelin. The person swept his right arm and swept away a few hunters who were about to land on the ground. He actually managed to defuse Rita's energy. Yin Sanlong from the Zhou state is here to challenge you. Yin Sanlong's figure was tall and sturdy. He could tell that Rita was very powerful. Normal hunters were definitely not her match. You're quite a man. You're qualified to fight me. Rita laughed loudly. The two of them jumped up at the same time. Like two ferocious tigers, their intense qi rubbed against the air, giving off a burning smell. On the other side, Yun Sheng and Dongwang Linger also bumped into the people from the Celestial Fox tribe. This time, the Celestial Fox tribe also sent out a few hundred fox warriors. This person was one of the generals under the chief of the Celestial Fox people, Hu Qinxiu. You are not the saint. Just when he was about to unleash his power, he suddenly saw Yun Sheng, who was leading the group. Needless to say, this person mistook Yun Sheng for the saintess of the Celestial Fox people. Listen, I don't want to fight with you. If you back off quickly, I can spare your lives. When Yun Sheng saw the people from the Celestial Fox people, she thought of Hu Sheng who died an unjust death. In fact, Yun Sheng didn't have any grudges with the Celestial Fox people. She also had half of the bloodline of the Celestial Fox people, who knew that not only did Yun Sheng's words not receive the gratitude of the Celestial Fox people, but the Celestial Fox magician who was leading the group sneered. Warriors of the Celestial Fox people, listen to my orders. The chief has given the order. Hu Sheng is not a woman and is colluding with humans. Everyone has the right to kill him. Whoever kills Hu Sheng will be rewarded 10,000 gold coins. Ever since Hu Sheng fell to the boundless world, the chief of the Celestial Fox people, Hu Qinxiu, saw her as a great humiliation. Therefore, he gave the order to kill both inside and outside the clan. When Yun Sheng heard that, the last bit of pity in her heart disappeared. She sneered, "If you want to kill me, you'll have to see if you have the ability to do so." Yun Sheng's heart moved. She didn't even bother to use her magic. Behind her, the ground started to rumble. The expressions of the Celestial Fox warriors, who were previously proud, changed drastically. Countless black ants crawled out from the ground. In the sky, a large number of Night Charm warriors pounced over like dark clouds. 100-legged ant generals, Night Charm Queen, capture their leader alive. As for the rest, kill them all. Yin Sheng raised her eyebrows coldly. In an instant, miserable cries sounded. Those Celestial Fox warriors fell down layer by layer under the attack of the astonishing number of ant soldiers and Night Charm warriors. Very quickly, that Celestial Fox magician who was still arrogant earlier was dragged in front of Yun Sheng. Looking at Yun Sheng's murderous face, that Celestial Fox magician suddenly realized that this female magician, who looked almost identical to the Celestial Fox people's saintess Hu Sheng, was not their saintess. The Fox clan was cunning. He quickly bent his knees and kowtowed to Yun Sheng. "Honorable female magician, I was blind. I beg you to let me go. Let me ask you, why did you want to kill Hu Sheng?" Yun Sheng grabbed the Celestial Fox magician. I'll tell you everything. There were rumors that the saintess Hu Sheng was sold to the auction house of the human race and became a promiscuous female slave. The clan leader was furious and imprisoned the saintess's mother. He ordered that if anyone saw the saintess, they were to kill her. The Celestial Fox magician was frightened by Yun Sheng and spilled everything. Who was the one who spread the news? Did anyone verify it? When Yun Sheng and Dongwang Linger heard that, they both felt that Hu Sheng had surrendered. Regardless of whether the news is true or false, the saintess's reputation has been damaged. Even if she were to return to the Celestial Fox tribe, only death awaits her. That Celestial Fox magician who was sandwiched between the two women had a terrified look on his face. Chapter 1090. Yin Sheng's eyes turned cold bit by bit. Her lips curled up into a smile. When that Celestial Fox Magus saw Yun Sheng smile, he only felt a chill in his heart. Bang! An extremely violent magic power shot down from the sky and hit the head of that Celestial Fox Magus. The Magus didn't even have the chance to scream before he was struck by the dark heavenly thorn and turned into a pile of charcoal. Poor Hu Sheng. Before she died, her only wish was for Yun Sheng to bring her ashes back to the Celestial Fox tribe. However, her people had never planned to welcome her back. Yun Sheng, Hu Sheng's ashes? Dongwang Linger's face was filled with sadness. She felt that Hu Sheng's death wasn't worth it. Like Yun Sheng, Dongwang Linger also vaguely guessed that Hu Sheng didn't want to be a burden to others. Another reason was that she hoped that Yun Sheng could go to the 8 Wastelands continent on her behalf and save the declining Celestial Fox tribe. However, the Celestial Fox people's actions had already made Yun Sheng completely disappointed in them. I will bring Hu Sheng's ashes back and save her mother. As for the Celestial Fox tribe, it has nothing to do with me whether they are strong or weak. Yun Sheng looked around and realized that the situation of the battle was better than she had expected. Sister Lan, second uncle, and the others had basically controlled the other party. However, the third priest's expression didn't look too good. Damn it, these humans do have some skills. They actually blocked all the attacks from the surroundings. The third priest roared. His eyes were filled with anger. However, when he saw that the ones who were blocking him were only 2 humans, the third priest felt a sense of hope. The ones in charge of protecting Gufeng and Chang Si-ming were the Golden Qilin, Yi Baiming, and Tycoon Jin. Seeing that the other party was just a beast and a human, the third priest and the people of the beast god altar behind him all revealed victorious smiles. I advise the 2 of you to quickly retreat. Otherwise, only death awaits you. The third priest gave an order, and behind him, nearly 100 beast god altar martial artists pulled off their robes in unison. The third priest was a martial artist. His subordinates were all martial artists. These people were like soldiers who had undergone strict training. Their muscles were strong, as if they were carved from marble. These martial artists of the beast god altar had all been baptized by the holy water of the beast god altar. Their bodies were much tougher than humans. Their bodies could penetrate the toughest shields, and their iron fists could directly penetrate the toughest armor. However, the third priest's words did not receive the response he deserved. The eyes of the person on the left under his robes suddenly brightened. His figure took a ghostly step forward, and with 2 booms, he threw out 2 heavy punches. The wind from the fists was like a flood. The third priest and the martial artist of the beast god altar only felt the air around them tremble. The fierce fists were like spring thunder, sweeping over like raindrops. The astonishing power of the fists actually landed on the martial artist of the beast god altar at the front. Pung! That martial artist's body flew backwards, rolling on the ground. His sternum shattered, and his heart was directly shattered. With just 1 punch, the martial artists of the beast god altar were completely unable to resist. Ignorant fool! Kill him! The third priest's expression changed slightly. The martial artists of the beast god altar did not care about their numbers. They swarmed forward, trying to use numbers to suppress the human. However, the most terrifying thing was yet to come. After that person was surrounded, not only did he not show any signs of defeat, on the contrary, he seemed to be completely unafraid of the attacks of the martial artists of the beast god altar. Punching left and right, he consecutively sent several martial artists flying. That momentum was unstoppable. What the hell was that thing? The third priest rushed forward, wanting to kill Tyrant Jean. But at this moment, a golden figure flashed, blocking the third priest's path. The third priest did not see who it was. He only saw his palm reach out, grabbing at the person blocking his path. But at this moment, a ball of flame exploded in front of him. The opponent's mouth spat out many magic attacks. Magician. The third priest's expression changed, and he floated back a few steps. Just as he dodged several magic attacks, he suddenly heard a biting cold claw wind, weaving into a sky full of claw shadows, like a heavenly net, enveloping the third priest. What kind of magic beast was this? It knew magic, and it also knew battle techniques. The sudden change in battle techniques, in addition to the magic attacks from before, caused the third priest to panic. For a moment, he also lost his mind. Just as the battle reached a stalemate, one could hear a figure shooting out from within the prime heaven blood seal, like a rainbow piercing through the sun. Yin Sheng. Quickly look, it's Gufeng. Dong Wang Ling was extremely excited as she raised her head. It turned out that 15 minutes had already passed. In the sky, the person standing there was none other than Gufeng. On Gufeng's body, his magic soul emitted a boundless golden light. Gufeng had broken through to become a magic god. Gufeng seemed to have grown several years older in an instant. On his originally round face, there was an additional layer of holy light. On his back, a pair of magic wings flapped, and he was already hovering in midair, just like a rising sun. For close to 10,000 years, the Duqian blood realm had been shrouded in evil aura and had never seen light. At this moment, light magic penetrated through the evil aura, illuminating every corner. Ancient magic incantations flowed out from the mouth of the ancient mountain like flowing water. At this moment, everyone stopped fighting and looked at the sky together. But at this moment, Yun Sheng's eyebrows twitched. She suddenly saw two figures flying towards the sky. When Green and Purple, who had been watching in the dark, saw Gufeng flying into the sky, they also flew into the sky at the same time. They already knew that Gufeng was the key to this Duqian blood seal. Almost at the same time, Yun Sheng and Dong Wang Ling also flew into the sky without hesitation. Yin Sheng, it's you. When Green saw Yun Sheng, he was absent-minded for a moment. After not seeing each other for 3 years, Yin Sheng had become even more attractive to him. Her temperament was as cold as ice, yet as beautiful as fire. In the cold wind, Yin Sheng's long hair danced in the wind. In Green's eyes, there was only her. Green recognized Yin Sheng, but Yin Sheng did not immediately recognize Green. You know me? Whether you know me or not, get out of here. Yin Sheng was not polite at all. Her figure flashed, and a 1,000-year-old ice zither appeared in her hand. Green hesitated for a moment, then shook his head helplessly. He stopped Purple. Purple wanted to say something, but stopped. At this moment, the magic power emitted by the ball of light quickly spread out. A ball of light as bright as the rising sun rose from Gufeng's body and spread towards the direction of the Duqian blood seal. The range of the ball of light was constantly expanding. It's a success. Yun Sheng and Dong Wang Ling were nervous and excited. The powerful light magic power emitted by the ball of light made the Bakra orcs feel as if they had seen the light in the darkness. They did not dare to stay any longer and fled like the ebbing tide. Fisk, it's a failure. Let's go. Violet tugged at Green, ignoring the fact that he was still staring at Yin Sheng. She tossed out a magic scroll and disappeared into the horizon. Chapter 1091. The light magic power of the ball of light continued to expand. It was as if light had returned to the continent. On the horizon of the Duqian blood realm, a semicircular ball of light slowly spread out. To the invading Bakra orcs, the new blood seal that contained the purest light magic was like a scourge. The third priest and the others saw that they couldn't stop it and didn't dare to stay any longer. They could only immediately leave the blood realm. In the blood realm, the evil chi that had been fleeing in all directions was shrouded. Those blood cloud beasts that had been restless for the past few days because of the evil aura also calmed down. Look, the entrance to the blood realm has also disappeared. Sister Lan and the others looked at the sky. The entrance to Bloody Sky Metropolis Jia that had been forcefully torn apart by He Yao was like snow meeting the sun of March, quickly shrinking until it completely disappeared. In the sky above the Dutian realm of blood, the evil aura gradually disappeared. The boundary between the 8 desolate continent and the boundless continent stabilized once again. Gufeng. After Dongwang Linger rejoiced, she suddenly realized that once the new Dutian blood imprint was formed, it meant that from today onwards, she and Gufeng would be separated forever. Dongwang Ling struggled free from Yunsheng's grasp. She wanted to rush into the new Dutian blood seal. However, the moment she came into contact with a wall of the Dutian blood seal, she was immediately bounced back. The new Dutian blood seal, which had fused with the power of Gufeng's luminous sun sphere, was indestructible. Ling didn't give up. She charged at the Dutian blood seal again and again, but she was bounced back. She looked at Gufeng with a smile on his face. His body was glowing brightly. Tears streamed down her face as she said, "Gufeng, let me in too. I'll accompany you. I'll accompany you to guard the Dutian blood seal. Linger, promise me that you won't be sad anymore." Gufeng looked at Dongwang Ling tenderly. She was the first woman he liked in his life, and the only woman he had ever liked. "I've only become the eye of the formation. Remember, I will always be here to protect you. You must become the most outstanding empress in the history of the Eastern Imperial Dynasty." His body eventually turned into a ray of light and was branded into the Dutian blood seal, becoming the eye of the formation that maintained the new Dutian blood seal. Dongwang Ling knelt in front of the Dutian blood print and looked at the place where Gufeng had disappeared. "Linger, don't be sad. Gufeng hasn't disappeared. We will definitely find a way to bring Gufeng back to your side." Yunsheng comforted her softly. Yunsheng could sense that Gufeng was not dead. He was like the guardian of the Dutian blood realm. He was just using his own methods to protect the continent, protect them, and protect Ling Er. "I won't be sad. I promised him that I will become the most outstanding empress in the history of the Eastern Imperial Dynasty." Dongwang Ling stopped crying. She slowly stood up. The tears on her beautiful face had yet to dry, but Dongwang Ling Er's gaze was different. To Dongwang Ling being separated from Gufeng was like a phoenix rising from the ashes. In the long years that followed, she kept her promise to Gufeng and brought the originally weak Eastern Imperial Dynasty back to prosperity. Dongwang Ling also became the greatest empress in the history of the Eastern Imperial Dynasty. These were all stories for later. After the blood seal was formed and it was confirmed that there were no more Bakra orcs in the blood realm, Yunsheng, Linger, Elder Si-Ming, Sister Lan, and the others also returned to the Dutian relay station. In order to commemorate the sacrifices made by Gufeng and Jirumo in the reconstruction of the Dutian blood seal, Elder Si-Ming and the people of the Dutian relay station erected a magician's sacred monument at the entrance of the Dutian blood realm. On it, the names of Jirumo and Gufeng were engraved. Yunsheng, Linger, don't be sad. Although the new Dutian blood seal has been formed, the effects of the blood seal's collapse are still very bad. The Great Elder and Elder Si-Ming have discussed it. The Magician's Temple will work with the continent's magicians' elite camp. After Sister Lan comforted Yunsheng and Dongwang Ling, she also brought some new decisions made by the continent's magicians' elite camp. The Emperor Zhao in red had fallen, and the Zhao state had fallen into a state without a ruler. Elder Si-Ming decided to return to Penglai and disband the Zhao state. As for Sister Lan, she would lead the continent's magicians' elite camp to work with the Hunters Guild to clean up the blood cloud beasts that escaped from the blood realm and the civilians that were injured by the blood chi. Dongwang Ling decided to return to the eastern capital alone. "Yunsheng, you don't have to worry about me. Just as you said, Gufeng is still by my side. I will come to the blood realm to visit him from time to time. I heard that after He Yao escaped, Dugu Xiu also disappeared. With that, the power that suppressed the Dongwang dynasty in the past has also completely disappeared. This is a great opportunity for me to reorganize the dynasty." Dongwang Ling and Yunsheng reluctantly bid farewell. Although Yunsheng also wanted to accompany Dongwang Ling back to the eastern capital, Dongwang Ling rejected her. Dongwang Ling knew that Yunsheng had many more important things to do. After Ji Rumo's death, the whereabouts of the Netherworld Ghost Key was still a mystery. Yunsheng still needed to find the Netherworld Ghost Key and find a way to save her mother. This was also the most urgent thing for Yunsheng to do right now. The Golden Qilin, Yi Baiming, also needed to find a way to restore his human body as soon as possible. Hu Sheng's ashes also needed to be sent back to the 8 Desolates continent as soon as possible. Yunsheng also had too many responsibilities. Be careful. If there are any problems, immediately contact me through the Hunters Guild. Yunsheng looked at Ling Er's haggard face and sighed. She, goofing Ling Er, and abandoned thought that they would be together forever. She didn't expect that in the blink of an eye, the 4 of them would be separated from each other. She didn't know when they would meet again. Yunsheng, before I leave, I have something to tell you. Cherish the people in front of you. Don't be like me, only regretting it when I lose them. Dongwang Ling looked behind Yunsheng. Not far away, the Golden Qilin, Yi Baiming, was following behind Yunsheng. When Dongwang Ling found out that Dollar was Yi Baiming, she was extremely shocked. However, when she saw Yi Baiming giving up the chance to restore his human body and staying behind to look after Yunsheng, Dongwang Ling was moved by his infatuation. Yi Baiming wasn't goofing. Dongwang Ling believed that Yunsheng and Yi Baiming wouldn't follow in the footsteps of her in goofing. She hoped that her good friend would become the happiest woman in the world. With a smile on her face, Dongwang Ling boarded the flying demonic beast that was heading towards the eastern capital. The flying demonic beast disappeared into the horizon. Only when Yunsheng couldn't see Dongwang Ling anymore did she turn around. Behind her, Dollar was lying on the ground. His golden eyes were staring at Yunsheng without blinking. Yunsheng walked forward. Dollar stood up unhurriedly and wagged his tail at Yunsheng in a fawning manner. Yunsheng saw his conflicted look of wanting to go forward, but was afraid that Yunsheng would explode. Yunsheng saw this and was both angry and amused. She could not help but laugh out loud. She walked forward and sat on Dollar's back. Night Fox, let's go and find the whereabouts of the Netherworld Ghost Key. Chapter 1092. When Yunsheng said this, her eyes were filled with gentleness. She wrapped her arms around Dollar's head and pressed her face against Dollar's scales. Through the delicate scales, Yunsheng could hear the strong heartbeat in the Qilin's chest. Thinking back, Yi Baiming didn't hesitate to give up the opportunity to regain his human form and stay. Yunsheng felt that she was very happy. Yunsheng's sudden kindness made Yi Baiming feel as if he was struck by lightning. The unique fragrance of Yunsheng's body hit him in the face. Dollar only felt that his bones were going soft. She's not angry anymore? Dollar was flattered. He thought that after his identity was exposed this time, he would be ignored by Yunsheng for a while. Unexpectedly, she wasn't angry. Dollar's bones became lighter, and he didn't hear it clearly at all. He only knew that the little wild cat wasn't angry with him. As long as she wasn't angry, he would go wherever the little wild cat wanted him to go. Yunsheng originally planned to punish Yi Baiming, but after experiencing Goofing and Ling Yunsheng was also deeply touched. There were indeed many difficulties between her and Yi Baiming, but no difficulties were difficult compared to the difference between Goofing and Dongwang Ling. Even if Yi Baiming became a demonic beast, at least he was always by her side to protect her. Just this point alone was enough. Therefore, Yunsheng planned to let bygones be bygones for Yi Baiming's earlier concealment. Yunsheng didn't tell Yi Baiming that in her heart, she already had an idea. After dealing with the matter of her mother, Hu Jiusheng, she planned to make a trip to the Bahuang continent. In addition to sending Hu Sheng's ashes back and saving Hu Sheng's mother, she also wanted to find the Qilin King Saraira. This way, Yi Baiming would be able to regain his true form. However, Yunsheng didn't intend to tell Yi Baiming about this for the time being. If he found out, he would definitely not agree. And right now, he had to deal with the matter of his mother, Hu Jiusheng. Before Yunsheng and Dollar left the Dutian blood world, they returned to the Dutian station. Yuanbu Pa and his sister were still there. Yin Sheng had already heard from Dong Wang Ling, that if it wasn't for Yuan Bupo, she probably wouldn't have been able to stop Qi Muguan. However, what made Yun Sheng even more curious was the power of the 9th chapter of the Dihong Song. What would it be like to be able to summon a divine weapon from the divine world? Yin Sheng, I'm very sorry. I can't teach you the 9th chapter of the Dihong Song. Yuan Bupo was in a difficult position when he heard Yun Sheng's question. In Yuan Bupo's heart, he really wanted to teach Yun Sheng the 9th chapter of the Dihong Song. However, after he entered the Dihong ancient tomb, he swore that he would only teach the 9th chapter of the Dihong Song to the fated person. If Yuan Bupo were to reveal it, the Dihong city's bloodline would face divine punishment. Since it concerned the people of Dihong City, Yuan Bupo didn't dare to reveal the 9th chapter of the Dihong Song. Although Yun Sheng was a little disappointed, she didn't force it. Yuan Bupo's father, Yuan Buku, had once said that as long as she agreed to marry Yuan Bupo, she would be allowed to enter the Dihong ancient tomb. However, Yun Sheng rejected him. Yun Sheng already had Yi Baiming in her heart. Hence, even if she knew that the 9th chapter of the Dihong Song contained a terrifying power, Yun Sheng could only give up. Yun Sheng, don't be sad. After I go back, I will beg my father again. As long as he agrees, you can enter the Dihong ancient tomb. I believe that with your power of understanding, you'll understand the Dihong Song better than me, Yuan Bupo told Yun Sheng. When she went to send Dong Wang Ling off, Elder Si Ming had already left. However, before Elder Si Ming left, she asked Yuan Bupo to tell Yun Sheng to go to Peng Lai. Knowing that Elder Si Ming wanted to invite her to Peng Lai, Yun Sheng wasn't surprised. Even if Elder Si Ming didn't ask, Yun Sheng planned to go to Peng Lai. When Ji Rumo died, he didn't have the Nether Ghost Key with him. She believed that he must have left the Nether Ghost Key in Peng Lai. After Yun Sheng said goodbye to Yuan Bupo and his sister, she then went to Peng Lai with Dollar and Popo. Not long after Yun Sheng, Dollar, and the others left the Dutian Blood World, the Blood World seemed to have calmed down. In the chaotic area between the 8 Desolates continent and the Boundless continent, the third priest and a group of Bakra orcs returned in defeat. The third priest was furious as he stopped Green. Green, what happened? Why didn't you control that magician in the end? The third shaman and the people from the other major tribes had suffered many losses in this invasion. Almost all of the people from the Celestial Fox tribe were killed. Half of the people from the Green Nether Wolf tribe and the Behemoth tribe were also killed. Only the 9 Phoenix tribe and the D tribe were unharmed. The third priest was also injured by the strange demonic beast. This made the third priest, who was always concerned about his reputation, very angry. He attributed all of this to the fact that the 9 Phoenix tribe and the D tribe came too late. Moreover, the third priest saw clearly that at the last moment, when the blood seal was reconstructed, Green suddenly appeared. At that time, he clearly had the chance to capture the human magician who was reconstructing the Dutian blood seal. However, at the last moment, Green didn't make a move when facing the human magician. It was also because of Green's hesitation that the Dutian blood seal was reconstructed. Now, it was very difficult to break the Dutian blood seal's boundary and invade it on a large scale. The invasion failed, and the 5th priest was confirmed dead. The 3rd priest was inevitably angry. He knew that after returning to the Beast God altar this time, his position in the Beast God altar would plummet. 3rd priest, what right do you have to interrogate me? Don't forget that the 9 Phoenix tribe isn't a lower beast tribe that you can casually summon. Moreover, the reason why we failed this time was because you and the 5th priest couldn't gather the Chelan tribe and the Bash tribe. Green's face was as cold as ice. Although the Beast God altar was the highest existence in the 8 Desolate continent, to the other higher beast tribes, only the 1st priest of the Beast God altar was a real threat. After receiving the 9 Phoenix King, Sarira's inheritance, Green didn't put the 3rd priest in his eyes. His current mood was very bad. His reunion with Yun Sheng had just begun, and it was already over. No one's feelings were more complicated than Green's. He did have the ability to control goofing at the last moment, but if he really did that, he would definitely fall out with Yun Sheng. But after the Dutian blood seal was reconstructed, Green regretted it even more. In the future, he would have fewer chances to see Yunsheng. With such conflicting emotions, Green was even more disinclined to pay attention to the third priest and the others. Without another word, he led the 9 Luan tribe away with a cold expression on his face. Third priest, farewell. Purple followed closely behind and left with the people of the D clan. Seeing that Green and Purple were ignoring the third priest, the remaining members of the other beast tribes also found excuses and left. Chapter 1093. 9 Phoenix Tribe. D Tribe. Good, very good. You dare to disobey me again and again. If I can obtain the power of faith of the beast god, you won't dare to go against me. The third priest was furious. However, the third priest could only watch as Green and Purple left. He glared in the direction of the Dutian blood realm. Under the effect of the new Dutian blood seal, the Dutian blood realm's boundary had regained its stability. The blood realm, which was originally blood red, was now shrouded in the power of light that was as warm as the sun. The third priest knew that even if the high priest came personally, he might not be able to break the new boundary of the blood realm. However, the third priest did not give up. Humans, don't think that you have one. Haha, just you wait. When the high priest obtains the power of the beast god, you will all fall into hell. The third priest's face revealed a sinister smile. His figure flashed and disappeared into the boundless chaos zone. The matter of the blood realm had come to an end because of the sacrifice of Gufeng and Ji Romo. After parting with the Yuan siblings, Yunsheng immediately rushed to Penglai. Yunsheng had 2 purposes for going to Penglai. One was to return the broken heavenly fate mirror to Chong Si-ming. The other was to ask Chong Si-ming about the whereabouts of the Netherworld Ghost Key. After arriving at Penglai, Yunsheng first went to the bottom of Penglai and found out about the Master of Molten Flame. The Master of Molten Flame told Yunsheng that after the death of the first summoner of the Dharma Temple, the volcano seal had temporarily stabilized. In the next few years, he could ensure that there would not be any problems with the volcano seal. Lord Flame, I will leave Penglai under your protection for now. Ji Romo's death is more or less related to me. I owe Penglai. In the future, if you discover any movements from the Bakra orcs, inform me immediately. Although the first summoner had already been eliminated, Yunsheng still felt that whether it was the 8 Desolate Tribe or the Beast God Altar, they would definitely not give up on invading the Boundless World so easily. Yunsheng gave a few instructions to the Master of Molten Flame before heading to Penglai Island. At the port of Penglai Island, Yunsheng accidentally met Chong Wei, a Warcraft businessman she met on the way to Penglai. Chong Wei is taking his family with him. He rents a ship and prepares to move away from Penglai. Since Yunsheng subdued Anemone Abyssalis, the waters of Penglai have become much more stable. It also became more convenient for fishermen and merchant ships to go out to sea. Isn't this Lord Prince Regent? What a coincidence. I was just about to look for you. In order to avoid being noticed, Yunsheng had already returned to her male disguise before arriving at Penglai. When Chong Wei saw Yunsheng, he hurriedly walked forward and flattered her. The Emperor Zhao in Red and Ji Romo of Penglai of Gojoseon's death had a huge impact on Penglai. The Zhao state had already been disbanded. Many citizens of Penglai had also moved away from Penglai to other places. The originally bustling Penglai suddenly looked a lot more desolate. The purpose of Chong Wei looking for Yunsheng was to ask for a recommendation letter to move to Yujing of Zhou State. Uncle Chong, why do you want to move to Zhou State? As far as I know, the closest place to Penglai is Laterchin. Writing a recommendation letter was a piece of cake for Yunsheng. However, Yunsheng did not understand why Chong Wei wanted to move to Zhou State. Hee, Prince Regent, you don't know. After the Dutian bloodprint incident, the Dugu Emperor of Laterchin also disappeared. It is rumored that he colluded with the Black Kirin clan of the Bakra orcs. Laterchin is also in turmoil now. As for the other countries, Immortal Residence is the Kingdom of Elves, Prince Tang Yuan is incompetent, and Zhou State is more reliable. Not only me, But now most of the rich people in Penglai and some summoners want to go to Zhou State. Chang Wei also told Yin Sheng that a recommendation letter from Zhou State had now risen to as much as 10,000 purple coins in the market, and there was no supply. When Yin Sheng heard this, she and Dollar looked at each other. The decline of Penglai and later Qin was a great opportunity for Zhou State. It was better to take this opportunity to win over the talents of Penglai and later Qin, which was also a great help for Zhou State. Uncle Chang, don't worry. This is my warrant. You can gather some merchants and summoners from Penglai and go to Zhou State together. Someone will write a recommendation letter for you. Yin Sheng took this opportunity to bring a large number of merchants and summoners from Penglai to Zhou State. This also laid a solid foundation for Zhou State to become the strongest country on the boundless continent with the East Imperial Dynasty for the next few hundred years. After arranging Chang Wei's matter, Yin Sheng also found out that Elder Si Ming's people were in Zhou State. Elder Si Ming also publicly announced that he was the Emperor Zhou in Reds Jr. After the Zhou State was disbanded, Elder Si Ming had already taken some people into the temple to avoid unrest. After the death of the Emperor Zhou in Red, Elder Si Ming lost his beloved disciple. Their deaths were more or less related to Yin Sheng, so when Yin Sheng met Elder Si Ming, she was a little nervous. She was afraid that he would vent his anger on her. When Elder Si Ming saw Yin Sheng, his face was very calm. Elder Si Ming had already passed down most of his magic power to Gufeng. He now looked like an old man. He handed over most of the temple's affairs to Ji Rumos Jr., Ru Yi. He would spend the rest of his life in Penglai. I was born in Penglai, and I will die in Penglai. This is my destiny. Elder Si Ming's voice was calm. This wise old man had predicted the life and death of countless people in his life. When faced with his own life and death, he was very calm. I'm sure you already know why I asked you to come to Penglai. You have been looking for the Netherworld Ghost Key. Elder Si Ming took out a box and handed it to Yin Sheng. Yin Sheng opened the box. Inside the box was a black ancient key. There was also a letter on the key. The ink on the letter had already dried. This letter was written by Ji Rumo when he left Penglai. Rumo, that foolish child. He probably knew that he would not be able to escape this time. He had already arranged everything. Jing Xian Ling Long. That child has always been a transparent person. Only in terms of emotions, he was muddled once. It was also this time that caused him to end up like this. Elder Si Ming's face was filled with regret. Ji Rumo was Elder Si Ming's proudest disciple. He had taught him everything he knew, but he did not expect that Ji Rumo would end up with his mirror destroyed. Elder Si Ming sighed. Even so, he was still unwilling to accept the Heavenly Fate Mirror. Since the Heavenly Fate Mirror has been destroyed, there is no use in keeping it with me. I will give it to you. I believe that Rumo will agree with me. Elder Si Ming waved his hand and asked Yin Sheng to leave. Chapter 1094. Although Chang Si Ming knew that everything that happened these days was predestined, he still couldn't get along with Yin Sheng and Dollar peacefully after knowing that they were both descendants of Ba Huan. Thank you, Chang Si Ming. Yin Sheng also saw through Chang Si Ming's thoughts. After saying goodbye, she left the Zhou State. After leaving the Zhou State, Yin Sheng couldn't wait to open Ji Rumo's letter. Beside her, the golden Kylin Yi Baiming glanced at the letter and held back the jealousy in his heart. He proudly tucked his tail between his legs and lay on the side. It was undeniable that Yi Baiming still cared about Ji Rumo a little bit. But unlike Dugu Xiao, even though they were both rivals in love, Yi Baiming didn't hate Ji Rumo or Xiao Wenxiu. Ji Rumo was a man that even the same sex couldn't hate. And Yi Baiming also knew that Ji Rumo would always stay in Yin Sheng's heart. Anyway, a crush was a crush. His woman was beautiful and capable. It was normal for someone to have a crush on her. Besides, Ji Rumo was a one-sided man. Mirror. Son. Or a one-sided man. Son. Of. Mirror. Son. He. Yi Baiming was the regent of the great Zhou dynasty. Why would he be jealous of a broken mirror? While Yi Baiming was struggling on the side, Yin Sheng had already finished reading Ji Rumo's letter. Ji Rumo's letter was left behind when he left Punglai. It was as if he already knew the fate he was about to face. Therefore, in this letter, it was an absolute letter from him. The paper was very ordinary papyrus. On the letter, lines of elegant handwriting flowed like flowing water. Between the lines, it was also Ji Rumo's usual tone. Yin Sheng seemed to see the humble and polite man who always had a smile on his face standing in front of her. He spoke tirelessly to Yin Sheng. Yin Sheng, when you read this letter, I believe you already know my true identity. I'm the heavenly fate mirror. I'm sorry I haven't been able to tell you the truth. As one of the 8 desolation divine artifacts, my fate was sealed the moment I was created to protect the boundless world. Don't feel guilty about my death. Compared to living without any feelings, I'd rather die in a special way. At least that way, I can live in your heart forever. After I die, I only have one request. I hope you can keep me by your side. Perhaps one day, you'll be able to repair the heavenly mandate mirror. Perhaps then, we'll meet again. Before I die, I'll leave a light soul power in your body. That's a type of soul power left behind in my body. I'm sorry, but I've secretly checked your Dharma soul before. You have 5 Dharma souls, but you're missing a light Dharma soul. If you cultivate this soul power properly, you can purify your Dharma soul and breed a new light Dharma soul. In the soul power, there's still some of my experience on light magic and fusion magic. Perhaps it'll be of help to your magic cultivation. I'll also leave the Netherworld Ghost Key to you. It's the only way to help your mother recover her memories. Your mother, Hu Jiuxing, lost her memories because the Emperor Zhao in red, Ji Fong, used the heart distress lamp to extract a strand of her soul. This strand of her soul has always been kept in the heart distress lamp. If you want her to recover her memories, you have to find the heart distress lamp. From what I know, the heart distress lamp has always been in the hands of the Netherworld Ghost King. The Emperor Zhao in red and the Netherworld Ghost King have some sort of relationship. It's very likely that the two of them made an agreement to extract a strand of your mother's soul. The Netherworld Ghost Key is an item from the Netherworld. Normal people can't use it easily. Otherwise, if it's not used properly, it'll contaminate a person's Dharma soul, causing them to fall into the path of darkness and become a dark magician. The pink demonic beast beside you should have some sort of divine power hidden in its body. If you insist on finding your mother's whereabouts, give it the Netherworld Ghost Key. I believe it'll be immune to the Netherworld Ghost Key's influence. However, promise me that you won't look for the Netherworld Ghost King before you're strong enough. The Netherworld Ghost King's strength is very strong. He's already a godlike existence. His true strength is even stronger than the 8 desolate artifacts combined. Finally, I hope you and the North Underworld King can grow old together. Rumo, farewell. After reading the letter, Yunsheng closed it and didn't speak for a long time. Yunsheng looked at the box again and saw the Netherworld Ghost Key that she had obtained with great difficulty. The Netherworld Ghost Key was ice-cold in her hand. It looked very ordinary. It didn't have any magical power or anything strange about it. It seemed like Ji Rumo was right. This key could only be used if it was given to baby sheep. She then took out the Broken Heavens Mandate mirror from the beast language ring. The cracks on the mirror blurred the figure in the mirror. In the end, she still owed Ji Rumo. This man, even at the moment of his death, was still thinking for her. He left behind the Netherworld Ghost Key, which was the most important thing to Yun Sheng and the method to save her mother, Hu Jiuxing. However, this method was very difficult to implement. After letting out a faint sigh, Yunsheng didn't forget Ji Rumo's last words in the letter. Right light soul power. Yunsheng then remembered that before Ji Rumo reflected He Yao's third inheritance, he had injected a strand of magical power into her forehead. At that time, Yunsheng didn't pay too much attention to it. She only knew that the strand of magical power had quickly melted into her body. Yunsheng touched her forehead and realized that the spot where Ji Rumo had injected his light soul power was right on top of her karmic firebrand. She hurriedly checked her Dharma soul and discovered that a crack had appeared on her 5 elemental Dharma soul at some point in time. That crack seemed to show signs of expanding. It contained the light soul power that Ji-Rumo had mentioned. The strand of light power that Ji-Rumo had injected into Yun Sheng's mind at the last moment was the last of his light power. It was also the essence of his life's magical power. It even contained a few unique spells that Ji-Rumo had mastered. Soul power. This term was still very unfamiliar to Yun Sheng. However, it wasn't a mystery to Ji-Rumo, who came from the Temple of Sorcerers. Extracting soul power was a special spell of the Temple of Sorcerers. It wasn't something that every sorcerer could do. Only a small number of sorcerers from the Temple of Sorcerers who had broken through to the realm of sorcerers could successfully cultivate a part of their Dharma soul into soul power. This type of soul power was considered the essence of a sorcerer's cultivation. It was very similar to the Beast King's Sarira that the 8 leaders of the Bakra orcs had left behind in the Beast King's tomb of the 8 wilderness. Soul power was initially only used for passing down the legacy. It was like every sorcerer from the Temple of Sorcerers would leave their last strand of soul power to the next sorcerer before they died. Those who obtained soul power could not only increase their cultivation, but also obtain some special spells and memories of the previous sorcerer. Chapter 1095. In the Dharma Temple, Ji-Rumo was not the only one who could cultivate soul power. At the same time, as a Dharma god, Elder Si-Ming had also cultivated soul power before. When he was in the Duqian Bloodprint, Elder Si-Ming decided to transfer his soul power to Gufeng in the form of soul power in order to increase the chances of Gufeng forming a new bloodprint. However, Elder Si-Ming only passed on his soul power to Gufeng. He kept his memories of magic and did not pass on any other form of magic to Gufeng. The reason why Elder Si-Ming did this, other than being selfish, was because he considered that Gufeng was not a member of the Dharma Temple. Although Gufeng was temporarily sealed in the blood world because of the Duqian Bloodprint, it was hard to guarantee that he would not reappear one day. He was also a member of the Magic Elite Camp on the continent. Therefore, Elder Si-Ming still kept some of his soul power. In comparison, Ji-Rumo's soul power inheritance to Yun Sheng was much more selfless. In this world, the most selfless feelings, other than the love between parents and children, were one-sided love. Ji-Rumo had been in love with Yun Sheng for many years. His feelings for Yun Sheng were more like a form of dedication. As for whether soul power could eventually form a Dharma soul, there was still no conclusion on the continent. Ji-Rumo also knew that it was risky to leave the power of light in Yun Sheng's Dharma soul, because light soul power was incomparably pure. Correspondingly, it required the other party's soul to be equally pure. Ji-Rumo was taking a risk, but at the last moment, he had no other choice. In the soul power inheritance that he gave to Yun Sheng, he even left his memories of magic and the purest light Dharma soul power to Yun Sheng. This was like leaving a light Dharma soul seed in Yun Sheng's body. If Yun Sheng could slowly assimilate this trace of light Dharma soul, she could very well become the first person in the boundless continent to possess a 6-elemental Dharma soul. However, this was only Ji-Rumo's bold assumption. The cultivation of light magic was one of the most difficult in the entire magic system. Whether or not Yun Sheng could truly fuse Ji-Rumo's soul power into her own soul power still required a period of time. As for whether or not she could become a top-notch mage like Ji-Rumo, that was still unknown. No matter what, since Yun Sheng had obtained Ji-Rumo's soul power inheritance, she planned to go into closed-door cultivation once the matters at hand were settled. She wanted to integrate with Ji-Rumo's soul power as soon as possible. This wisp of seemingly unremarkable light soul power obediently stayed in Yun Sheng's magic soul. Compared to the other fire, water, earth, wind, and darkness magic souls, this wisp of light soul power was so weak that it seemed like it would be devoured at any time. Yun Sheng collected her thoughts. The main purpose of her trip was still the Netherworld Ghost Key. Yun Sheng did not forget the legend of the Netherworld Ghost Key. As long as one obtained the Netherworld Ghost Key, they would be able to summon the Netherworld Ghost King. Even though Yun Sheng was protected by the karmic fire of the fairies, the Netherworld Ghost Key felt cold in her hand. Just by touching it with her hand, she felt a stinging chill, as if there was something bad in the key that could seep into her body at any time. It was also thanks to Ji Rumo's reminder in the letter. Otherwise, Yunsheng would have used the Netherworld Ghost Key directly. Although she did not know if the Netherworld Ghost Key was like the legend, where the user would fall into the path of darkness and become a dark mage, Yunsheng still decided not to take the risk. Bobo, take a look. Can you use the Netherworld Ghost Key to enter the Netherworld? Yunsheng cautiously summoned Bobo Sheep and handed the Netherworld Ghost Key to Bobo Sheep. When Bobo Sheep saw the Netherworld Ghost Key, it curled its lips and looked uninterested. Bobo, Bobo, dearest master, this Netherworld Ghost Key is the only way to enter the Netherworld. Don't tell me you want to go to the Netherworld. That kind of godforsaken place. Bobo does not want to go. Bobo Sheep spoke as if it was facing a great enemy. Yunsheng had known Bobo Sheep for so long, but this was the first time she was so against going to a place. If it was in the past, Bobo Sheep would definitely say, with this world god here, everything will be fine. It seemed that this so-called Netherworld must be a very dangerous place. If you don't want to go, then pluck all your wool. Yunsheng's face was serious. Bobo, heads can be broken and blood can flow, but wool cannot be plucked. If you want to go, then go. But, dearest master, why must you go to the Netherworld? That place is very scary. It is full of bad people. Compared to the people in the Netherworld, the Bakra orcs are simply good people. Bobo Sheep was poked in its sore spot by Yunsheng, so it could only droop its wings and helplessly compromise. Is the Netherworld really that scary? Even you can't pass through it directly? Yunsheng's knowledge of the Netherworld was very limited. The only person she had come into contact with from the Netherworld was the Netherworld Ghost King. In her impression, the Netherworld Ghost King was handsome, evil, mysterious, and had a strange temperament. She didn't know what kind of situation the Netherworld was in with such a person. Bobo, the Netherworld's environment is very bad. The people living there are ghosts who have died unjustly. There are also some humans and magical beasts who have been exiled for committing all kinds of evil. Bobo Sheep had actually never been to the Netherworld. It told Yunsheng that between world gods, it was just like between beast kings and beast kings, or between countries on the boundless continent. They all had a strong sense of territory. Generally speaking, world gods of the mortal world would not go to the Netherworld. If a world god of a world rashly entered another world, it would be like invading another country's territory. If it was light, it would lead to a fight. If it was heavy, it would lead to a world war. Oh, so Bobo, you are not willing to go to the Netherworld because you are afraid of the world gods of the Netherworld. Or is it that the world gods of the Netherworld are so powerful that even you can't deal with them? Yunsheng knew Bobo's temper. To deal with Bobo, provocation was the only way. Bobo, who would be afraid of that super perverted, ugly, and shameless world god of the Netherworld? Bobo, I can crush him to death with a single hair. When Bobo Sheep mentioned the world gods of the Netherworld, the hair on its body stood up as if it had been electrocuted. Its eyes, which were as big as black beans, squeaked, and almost shot out angry sparks. Even though Bobo Sheep had a confident look, Yunsheng knew from its eyes that this fellow was lying. Shouldn't the world gods of the Netherworld be your senior? Yunsheng decided not to expose Bobo's lie. It was better to get some information about the world gods of the Netherworld from Bobo Sheep's mouth first. After all, if they really went to the Netherworld, it would be someone else's territory. It was better to be careful. But Yunsheng was also very puzzled. In her opinion, since they were both world gods, then Bobo Sheep and the world gods of the Netherworld should also be companions. Or, at least, the relationship between them should be senior and junior. Why was it that when Bobo Sheep heard about the world gods of the Netherworld, it had a disgusted look as if the other party had dug up its ancestral grave? Chapter 1096. Who would have known that it would have been better if Yunsheng hadn't mentioned it? But the moment Yunsheng mentioned the word senior, Bobo Sheep didn't hold back at all. He activated his verbal cannon mode and started cursing. Bobo, how is he this world god senior? He is not even qualified to carry this world god's shoes. Besides, this world god is his senior sister. He entered the world god later than this world god. He is the youngest one. That bad guy. He is obviously a junior, but he always has an iceberg face. The most shameless thing is that he became a world god before this world god. What talent! What young and promising, that venomous, rude, and arrogant smelly fart god. If this world god sees him, I will beat him up every time I see him. After beating his chest, I will beat his back. Bobo Sheep was so angry that his wings trembled. It was only then that Yun Sheng understood. It turned out that Baby Sheep was upset that the other party had become a world deity before him. Hearing Bobo Sheep's words, Yun Sheng was even more curious about Bobo Sheep's junior brother. After Bobo Sheep finished complaining, he calmed down a little and rolled his eyes. Dearest master, it seems that you have to go to the underworld. However, if you really want to go to the underworld, you should first increase your strength a little. At least reach the level of magic god or integrate with the light magic of that mirror. It will not be too late to go then. Light magic has a certain degree of destructive power to the people or magic beasts of the underworld. He blinked his eyes. Bobo Sheep actually had another unspoken sentence in his heart. If he really wanted to go to the underworld, he should at least increase his strength a little. Otherwise, if he accidentally met that smelly underworld god, he would definitely be ridiculed to death. Besides, Bobo Sheep thought that if his master really wanted to become a magic god, it would still take a long time. During this time, he must coax and pester the Qilin boy to find more king-level magic beast soul stones to increase his cultivation. Yun Sheng did not have any objections to Bobo Sheep's suggestion. I will listen to you. When will we set off for the underworld? We will go to Taiyuan Mountain first to see Mother and then make a long-term plan. Yun Sheng also had some hesitation in her heart, based on her understanding of Baby Sheep. Although this fellow was usually useless, he was quite reliable. If it said that the underworld was dangerous, then the journey to the underworld would not be easy. Yun Sheng decided to check on her mother, Hu Jiuxing, first. Yun Sheng left Penglai with Baby Sheep and Yi Baiming and returned to Mount Taiyuan. During the period when Yun Sheng went to Penglai, Yun Songhai and Hu Jiuxing had been living in seclusion in Mount Taiyuan. Under Yun Ba's management, Taiyuan Mountain had changed from a barren mountain to a lush green. The news of the Emperor Zhao in Red's death and the formation of the new Dutian blood seal had already reached Taiyuan Mountain through Yun Songhai. When Yun Songhai saw that his daughter, Yun Sheng, had returned safely, a long-lost smile appeared on his face. Father, how is Mother these days? Yun Sheng only looked at Yun Songhai and then looked at his appearance. Seeing that her father looked a lot thinner these days, she faintly felt that something was wrong. Sheng-er, it's good that you're back. Your mother's situation is not good. I didn't let anyone inform you earlier. Yun Songhai sighed. A while ago, Yun Sheng was in the Dutian blood world. After Yun Songhai learned about the crisis of the Dutian blood seal, he knew that his daughter could not be distracted. So, he had not told Yun Sheng about Hu Jiuxing's recent situation. Now that the crisis of the Dutian blood seal had been resolved, he told Yun Sheng about Hu Jiuxing's changes in the past few days. When they were in Penglai, when the family of three was separated, Hu Jiuxing was still relatively quiet under the control of the corpse puppet technique. Before Yun Sheng left, she gave a few heart crystals to her father, Yun Songhai. Yun Songhai used the heart crystals to control Hu Jiuxing normally in the first few days. Most of the time, Hu Jiuxing was like a well-behaved child. Under the control of the heart crystals, she liked to pester Yun Songhai. The couple also returned to the harmonious scene when they were in love in the past. Yun Songhai even thought that as long as Hu Jiuxing's situation did not worsen, even if she did not remember him, he was willing to accompany her until they were old. However, the good times did not last long. Hu Jiuxing suddenly fell into a coma overnight. Her coma this time came fiercely without any warning. No matter how Yun Songhai called her, she could not hear him and did not wake up again. Yun Songhai only found out later that when Hu Jiuxing fell into a coma, the Emperor Zhao in Red was killed. Yun Songhai used all kinds of methods, and even invited a few national experts over, but not a single one of them was able to find the real reason why Hu Jiuxing was unconscious. Yun Songhai had no choice but to wait on Hu Jiuxing's bed all day long, without wearing any clothes. He waited for his daughter, Yun Sheng, to come. When Yun Sheng heard this, she hurriedly went forward to check on Hu Jiuxing's situation. On the sick bed, her mother, Hu Jiuxing, was lying quietly. She had neither external nor internal injuries. Her eyes were tightly shut, and she was on the verge of death. Her complexion was waxy yellow, and she looked much thinner than when she met Yun Sheng in Penglai. Beside Hu Jiuxing's sickbed stood the National Master of Medicine and others who were invited. Yun Sheng, I'm very sorry. I can't do anything about your mother's condition. You still have to do it yourself. She looked at Yun Sheng apologetically. Yun Songhai had already placed all his hopes on Yun Sheng. In the current boundless continent, if even Yun Sheng could not find out Hu Jiuxing's condition, no one would be able to save her. After Yun Sheng checked, she muttered to herself, Sheng, can you tell what's wrong with your mother? Just tell me. I can bear it. Yun Songhai's eyes were full of anxiety. His eyes were glued to Hu Jiuxing's face. If he could, he really wanted to bear this pain for his wife. When Yun Sheng saw his expression, she could not help but feel a little sad. From the moment Yun Sheng was born, she had already regarded Yun Songhai as her father and Hu Jiuxing as her mother. Only Yun Sheng knew how deep Yun Songhai's love for Hu Jiuxing was in this half of his life. The couple's relationship had been bumpy. Over the years, they had been separated several times and had never been able to live a good life together. She had thought that the couple would be able to reunite after the Emperor Zhao in Red died. She did not expect that Hu Jiuxing would become like this again. Yun Sheng had already made up her mind. No matter what, she had to save her mother and let her father and mother be together. After Yun Sheng checked, the general result was the same as that of Yao Daguoshu and the others. Hu Jiuxing did not have any illness. It seemed that using ordinary medical methods would not be able to directly identify the cause of Hu Jiuxing's coma. Yun Sheng did not give up. Her eyes changed and turned golden. She placed her hand on Hu Jiuxing's hand. Between her fingers, a dark needle force was forced into Hu Jiuxing's body. The dark needle quickly moved around in Hu Jiuxing's body. Chapter 1097. When Yun Sheng was making her diagnosis, Yun Songhai did not even dare to blink his eyes. He knew that if even his daughter could not figure out the cause of Hu Jiuxing's coma, no one on this continent would be able to save his wife. How could Yun Sheng not know that? She could only hope that she could use the Shennong's eye and the power of the Dark Needle to check on Hu Jiuxing's condition. The medical system of the boundless world was different from modern medicine. Yun Sheng and Medicine Master Washo only checked on the pulse and symptoms. With the Shennong's eye and the power of the Dark Needle, Yun Sheng had another method compared to the doctors of the boundless world. The Dark Needle started moving around Hu Jiuxing's body. Yun Sheng could see the condition of Hu Jiuxing's body slowly. There were no abnormalities in her blood vessels, organs, nerves, and brain. Just as Yun Sheng was about to withdraw the power of the Dark Needle, the Dark Needle suddenly entered a special domain. It was a magical wave. This magical wave came from Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul. Yun Sheng was secretly shocked. She suddenly realized that the power of her Dark Needle could actually directly come into contact with the Dharma soul of a magician. This unintentional discovery made Yun Sheng very surprised. Before this, she never knew that the power of her Dark Needle could be used to check the condition of a Dharma soul. Yun Sheng thought for a while. The only explanation was that the soul power of Ji Rumo's light Dharma soul had entered her body and caused her soul healing needle to mutate. Unexpectedly, Yun Sheng's Dark Needle had the special ability to search for Dharma souls. Ji Rumo himself was an outstanding light magician. His light Dharma healing was second to none in the entire continent. After realizing that she might have come into contact with her mother, Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul, Yun Sheng became cautious. Yun Sheng collected her thoughts and focused on directing the power of the dark needle to slowly enter Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul. Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul emitted a ray of light. Unlike Yunshang's multi-elemental Dharma soul, Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul only had two colors. One was gray, and the other was black. These two colors represented the space-time attribute and the darkness attribute of magic respectively. So, Mother is also a dual-elemental magician. No wonder she was able to use such a powerful space-time restriction spell. Looking at the size of his mother's law soul, her strength should be somewhere between a saint-level law emperor and law god. I wonder what realm Mother has reached as a summoner, Yunsheng thought to herself. But then, she suddenly realized that Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul was a little strange. Generally speaking, a magician's Dharma soul was in a very stable state when they were not using magic. As a magician's Dharma soul increased, the Dharma soul would gradually weaken. But Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul was like an oil lamp in the wind, very unstable. Moreover, the magic power emitted from her Dharma soul was constantly weakening. Why would a Dharma soul weaken and shrink for no reason? Yunsheng once again forced a portion of the power of the dark needle into Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul. Once the dark needle entered the Dharma soul, Yunsheng suddenly felt a strong suction force rushing towards her, as if it was going to swallow her dark needle in an instant. That was her mother's magic power. The Dharma soul was the core of a magician's energy. It was even more important than a human's heart. Although Hu Jiuxing was currently unconscious, she could sense that an external force was invading her. Her Dharma soul subconsciously tried to push out the power of Yunsheng's dark needle. In terms of cultivation, Yunsheng's current cultivation was still a distance away from Hu Jiuxing's. Hu Jiuxing was already a peak near Saint Dharma Emperor, only a fine line away from the Dharma soul. As for Yunsheng, after absorbing Ji Rumo's Dharma soul, she was only a mid-level Saint Dharma overlord. In a head-on clash, her Dharma soul was still no match for Hu Jiuxing. But at this point, Yunsheng was unwilling to back down so easily. She was very clear that something must have happened in Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul for it to keep shrinking. In this situation, she could only stalemate and not clash head-on. Otherwise, it was very likely that she would harm Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul and worsen her condition. Yunsheng hesitated, thinking of a method to make Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul give up resisting. Just as Yunsheng was hesitating, the soul power that Ji Rumo had left in her Dharma soul flickered. The gentle light magic power caused Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul to fluctuate, and the resistance from before slowly disappeared. Yunsheng's dark needle took this opportunity to enter Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul. Yunsheng searched and quickly found a trace of a restriction in Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul. There was still a portion of the Emperor Zhao in red Ji Rumo's Dharma soul remaining on the restriction. It was very obvious that before Ji Rumo died, he had left a restriction in Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul. This restriction, combined with the heart crystal, had been controlling Hu Jiuxing all along. But now that the Emperor Zhao in red had died, the restriction had lost its effect. That's right, this was the reason why her mother was unconscious. Yunsheng suddenly opened her eyes, and she quickly retracted the power of the dark needle. The surroundings were dead silent. Yunsheng then realized that the sky outside had completely darkened. She had actually spent an entire afternoon checking. Using the dark needle and Shun known pupil to check at the same time consumed a lot of energy. Yunsheng concentrated and meditated for a moment before she recovered some energy. Beside her, only Yin Songhai was still guarding. The others had already been persuaded by Yun Songhai to leave. Shenger, how is it? Are there any results? Just now, Yin Songhai was watching from the side. When he saw that his daughter's complexion had gradually returned to normal, he knew that his daughter must have found out about Hu Jiuxing's illness. His eyes were filled with anticipation. Father, don't worry. I roughly know why Mother has become like this. The reason why Mother is unconscious is because her Dharma soul is constantly shrinking. Yunsheng was certain that the reason why Hu Jiuxing was unconscious was related to her Dharma soul. Shrinking Dharma soul? What illness is Sheng suffering from? Why have we never heard of such an illness on the mainland? Yin Songhai was puzzled. Not only Yin Songhai, but even Yun Sheng herself. If she had not seen Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul with her own eyes, she would not have believed that a Dharma soul could actually shrink. To a sorcerer, shrinking Dharma soul was a very serious matter. If it was light, it could cause a sorcerer to lose all of their cultivation. If it was serious, it could cause death. The reason for shrinking Dharma soul should be because Hu Jiuxing had been missing a strand of her Dharma soul for many years. Or perhaps the Emperor Zhao in red had placed some restrictions on Hu Jiuxing's body. With the Emperor Zhao in red's death, that restriction was very likely to lose its effect. As a result, Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul was affected. That damned the Emperor Zhao in red. Even after he died, he still implicated Mother. Yun Sheng gritted her teeth. Since you have found the cause, is there a way to stop the Dharma soul from shrinking? Yin Songhai seemed to have seen the light again. He looked at Yun Sheng with a hopeful expression. Chapter 1098. Yun Sheng smiled bitterly. This was the first time she had encountered something like a Dharma soul shrinking. She also did not know how to stop Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul from shrinking. However, the only thing she could guarantee was that she could temporarily stabilize Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul and stop it from shrinking. When she withdrew the power of the Dark Needle, Yun Sheng also left a portion of the Jade Marrow Technique's power in Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul. The Jade Marrow Technique was a cultivation technique passed down in the Yin family. It had the effect of prolonging one's lifespan and calming effect. It could temporarily stabilize Hu Jiuxing's Dharma soul, but Yun Sheng could not guarantee how long that portion of the Jade Marrow Technique's power could last. Father, I've already used a special method to alleviate the shrinking of Mother's Dharma soul. However, that only treats the symptoms and not the root cause. If you want Mother to wake up, you still have to find a way to cure it. Yun Sheng told Yin Songhai the contents of the letter that Ji Rumo had left for her before he died. Yin Songhai only knew now that Hu Jiuxing had lost her memories because she had lost a wisp of her soul. Sheng thinks that if Mother's soul is complete with her cultivation, she should be able to restore her Dharma soul to normal. Yin Sheng also told Yin Songhai at the same time. She had originally planned to use the heart crystal to control her mother's illness. She had planned to at least wait until she had fused with Ji Rumo's light soul power before heading to the underworld. However, looking at the current situation, Hu Jiuxing's situation was not optimistic. If Yun Sheng did not find the heart lamp as soon as possible and find that wisp of Hu Jiuxing's soul, even if Hu Jiuxing was saved in the future, her cultivation would be greatly reduced. Ji Rumo was already dead, and the only way to save Hu Jiuxing was to find the Netherworld Ghost King and the Heart Distress Lantern that extracted a strand of Hu Jiuxing's soul. Yun Sheng suspected that the strand of Hu Jiuxing's soul was most likely locked in the Heart Distress Lantern. No matter what, she had to get that strand of soul back. Even though Yun Sheng knew that the current hurt did not have the strength to directly negotiate with the Phantasm Ghost King, she still wanted to try. Sheng, you said it yourself. Ji Rumo warned you that the Netherworld is very dangerous. The Netherworld Ghost King is not someone you can deal with. You stay here and take care of your mother. Yin Songhai was unwilling to see his daughter risk her life to go to the underworld. Yin Songhai did not want to use his daughter's life to exchange for his wife's. He would rather go to the underworld himself. Father, do you still remember Bobo? It's that pink demonic beast that has always been by my side. Its origin is actually not simple. It is a future world deity of a human realm. It can be considered an old acquaintance of the world deity of the underworld. It should be able to help me find the Netherworld Ghost King. In order to reassure Yin Songhai, Yun Sheng chose to tell him part of the truth. However, she did not tell Yin Songhai that Bo was only a half-baked world deity. She also would not tell her father that Bo and the world deity of the underworld did not see eye to eye. Yin Songhai was still somewhat hesitant. Father, don't forget that Sheng still has Jean and I. To be honest, Jean and I, he is Yi Biming. Yunsheng thought for a moment and decided to tell Yun Songhai about Jin Ni's true identity. After learning that Jin Ni was Yi Baiming, Yun Songhai was immediately shocked. He immediately had Yun Sheng find Jin Ni. This was the first time that Yi Baiming had met Yun Songhai after leaving Banana Leaf Village. Yun Songhai looked at Jin Ni and frowned like fried dough twists. Yun Songhai had never been optimistic about Yun Sheng's marriage. He had previously helped Yun Sheng choose Xiao Wenshu from the temple. He had only recently found out that Xiao Wenshu was Peng Lai of Gojozian, Ji Rumo. Ji Rumo's true identity was the Destiny Mirror. However, even though he did not like Yi Baiming was the husband that Yun Sheng had chosen herself. The two of them had already bowed to the heavens and earth, so they could be considered a true husband and wife. Yun Songhai had no choice but to accept this fact. I'll leave Shang'er to you. If you let her suffer even the slightest grievance, I, Yun Songhai, will be the first to not forgive you. Yun Songhai stared at the gold coin for a long time. In the end, he finally snorted from his nose and unhappily said a sentence. This sentence could be considered as a confirmation of Yi Baiming's name. The golden Qilin, Yi Baiming, also heaved a sigh of relief. Although Yun Songhai did not like Yi Baiming's current appearance, Yun Songhai had to admit his strength. With Yi Baiming and Yun Sheng going to the underworld together, and with the other magical beasts, Yun Sheng would definitely be safe and sound. Seeing that Yun Songhai had finally stopped objecting to her going to the underworld, Yun Sheng also heaved a sigh of relief. Father, I have some water of life here. Remember to feed Mother some every 7 days. If I'm not wrong, Mother's condition will not worsen within a year. Yun Sheng took out a few bottles of water of life and handed them to Yun Songhai. After all, Yun Sheng did not even know when she would be able to return from her trip to the underworld this time. Yun Songhai was shocked to see that his daughter actually had a few bottles of water of life so casually. The water of life was one of the most miraculous water sources on the continent. It had a miraculous effect on detoxification and also had certain benefits in repairing a person's Dharma soul. However, it could not repair a person's soul. As long as there was water of life, it could ensure that Hu Jiuxing's condition would not worsen during Yunsheng's absence. In order to prevent any accidents, Yunsheng also left the Elven Queen behind. Sheng'er, you should take this water of life with you. The journey to the underworld is extremely dangerous. Yun Songhai was still a little worried. Father, don't forget that I have the immortal Holy Grail with me. The water of life is inexhaustible. Yun Sheng smiled. Only then did Yun Songhai remember that his daughter had one of the 8 divine artifacts, the demon's summoning hand and the immortal Holy Grail. How many more secrets was his precious daughter hiding in her body? Yun Songhai could not help but feel a little ashamed. As a father, he seemed to be too much of a failure. Yunsheng saw her father's expression and secretly laughed. She had not told her father that she had another magical bracelet in her hands. However, it was better not to tell her father about this for now. Seeing that Yunsheng had everything prepared, Yun Songhai was powerless to stop her. He could only remind Yunsheng that regardless of whether she could find the Netherworld Ghost King and the Heart Sorrow Lamp, she had to return to the Boundless Land within a year. After knowing that Yunsheng had changed her mind and wanted to go to the underworld in advance, Baby Sheep's face was full of worry. He had not had the time to ask the Qilin boy to find the Beast King's soul stone for him. Baby Sheep, dearest master, then we have to prepare to set off. Baby Sheep's face was full of headache. Before using the Netherworld Ghost Key, Baby Sheep silently muttered in his heart, Mother Goddess above, please protect Baby Sheep. Please don't let Baby Sheep meet that annoying fellow in the underworld. Chapter 1099. Poppy, everything is ready. You can take us to the underworld now. The underworld was different from the human world. The presence of humans and beasts could easily attract attacks from the underworld creatures. So, to avoid any accidents on the way, Yunsheng put all the beasts into the beast speech ring. She only traveled with Dollar. Earlier, Poppy Sheep had reminded Yunsheng that there were no special magic arrays or empty ships between the human world and the underworld. The underworld's transportation, or rather, the underworld's emissary, was a beast called the Four-Square Hell Dragon. Poppy Sheep used the Netherworld Ghost Key to summon the Four-Square Hell Dragon. Poppy Sheep put the Netherworld Ghost Key in front of him and started to chant. The Netherworld Ghost Key, which had been motionless, slowly floated in the air. A black aura emerged from the simple key's body. The black aura slowly came to life amidst the chanting. It could be seen tumbling in the air. Amidst the black chi, white bones appeared one after another. The bones seemed to have a life of their own. One by one, they came together like a jigsaw puzzle. Very quickly, Yun Sheng and Dollar saw a 10-meter-long bone dragon appear in front of them. The dragon had no skin or flesh. It emitted a black power. It had a pair of dragon bone wings. It looked very strong. Who dares to summon the Netherworld Ghost Bone Dragon? The dragon's voice rumbled. Poppy Sheep flapped his wings. His fluffy ball-like body flew in front of the bone dragon. Poppy, for Square Hell Dragon, are you blind? Can't you recognize me? Poppy Sheep's small body was 100 times bigger than the underworld's Netherworld Ghost Bone Dragon. It looked like the difference between a flea and an elephant. Poppy Sheep used such an arrogant tone to talk to the bone dragon. He even called the 30-meter-long Netherworld Ghost Bone Dragon a little dragon. When he landed in front of Yun Sheng and Dollar, it was very funny. The Netherworld Ghost Bone Dragon's eye sockets, which no longer had eyeballs, shot out 2 green lights. It looked at Poppy carefully. The four-sided hell flood dragon shuddered when it saw the popping sheep. Its bones creaked. The four-sided abyss flood dragon was the demonic beast in charge of traveling between the underworld and the underworld. Its strength was equivalent to that of a peak beast king, and it was very powerful. But when it saw Pops, it couldn't help but feel a headache coming on. In this world, the only person who dared to call the four-sided abyss flood dragon Little Flood Dragon was this lord before him. Wasn't this little fiend of the mortal realm rumored to have gone missing a long time ago? Why would he suddenly appear here? Lord Bobo, please forgive this little flood dragon for not recognizing you immediately. Please forgive this little flood dragon. My lord, may I know why you have summoned Little Flood Dragon today? The four-sided abyss flood dragon bowed to Bobo. Bobo and the underworld world deity were on the same level. The underworld Jiao Jiao was directly under the underworld world deity. When he saw Bobo, he still had to greet him as a subject. Nonsense. Of course I'm looking for you to go to the underworld. If not for my dear master wanting to go to the underworld, this world deity would not have bothered to summon an ugly fellow like you. Bobo said unhappily. Master? The four-sided abyss flood dragon was shocked. He shook his head and looked at Yun Sheng and Dollar, who were behind Bobo's sheep. Human race? No, this wasn't an ordinary human. The human had the aura of a demon beast. Why would Lord Popo get involved with a human for no reason? Furthermore, Lord Popo even addressed that human as master. This wasn't good. How could a great world deity recognize a human as his master? Lord Bobo was a god. Could it be that Lord Bobo was deceived by the human? He was still young, so he must have been deceived. He wondered if the Lord in the underworld knew about this. The four-sided abyss flood dragon hesitated. Bobo, Little Flood Dragon, don't think that this world deity doesn't know what you are thinking. Today, this world deity is looking for you. Don't tell Mingri about this. Also, don't look at my master with a weird gaze. My master is the most important person to Bobo. Bobo's sheep wasn't stupid. He could tell that the four-sided abyss flood dragon was suspicious. He stared at the four-sided abyss flood dragon and roared. If you dare to tell on me, do you believe that this world deity won't break your bones one by one? Heavy, Bobo said and waved his wings. In the early years, when Bobo was still an egg, he had taken down the four-sided abyss flood dragon's bones many times. He even put the bones back into the four-sided abyss flood dragon's body with interest. The four-sided abyss flood dragon smiled bitterly. He didn't forget that this lord was famous among the world deities for pestering people endlessly. Moreover, He was born with strange power and a tricky temper. Even the world deity of the underworld was troubled by him. Seeing that Bobo was so protective of the human, the four-sided abyss flood dragon could only give up on the thought of telling on him. Lord Bobo, it's not that I don't want to listen to your orders. You should know that not everyone can enter the underworld. The two beside you don't meet the conditions to enter the underworld, the four-sided abyss flood dragon said helplessly. Generally speaking, there were two kinds of people who entered the underworld. One was the soul of a dead person. The other was the person who committed a great crime in the mortal world and was wanted by the mortal world. Thus, he was exiled to the underworld. The rest of the people couldn't enter the underworld without permission. Otherwise, once they were discovered by the underworld king guards, they would be punished by lightning and their souls would be destroyed. The man and the beast in front of him obviously didn't meet the two conditions. The man and the beast were young and didn't show any signs of dying. Their magic souls were also very clean. They didn't look like evil people who had fallen into the dark demon Tao. If the man and the beast, who were like a piece of white paper, were to enter the underworld, they would definitely die. Although the four-sided abyss flood dragon wasn't a kind person, he was very law-abiding. I almost forgot about this. The underworld is a concentration camp for evil. Bobo the sheep thought for a while. This time, he and his master had entered the underworld illegally. If they were discovered by the underworld king guards, it wouldn't be good. Then let my dear master and the Cheelin boy disguise themselves as felons. Isn't it just branding a felon's magic mark on their bodies? Dear master, Cheelin boy, do you have any objections? Bobo's brain turned, and he made the final decision. Yin Sheng and Dollar immediately became felons. It's okay. As long as we can go to the underworld, we are willing. Yin Sheng shrugged her shoulders. For the sake of her mother's soul, she wasn't afraid even if she really died, let alone disguising herself as felons. Lord Bobo, this matter can't be done recklessly. Let me check it out first. The four-sided abyss flood dragon's bony face froze for a moment. The four-sided abyss flood dragon had been a flood dragon for so many years. He had seen people who cried bitterly when they were caught and refused to admit their crimes. However, he had never heard of anyone who was willing to be exiled to the underworld. After the four-sided abyss flood dragon finished speaking, two round crystal balls appeared between his left and right bony claws. Chapter 1100. Seeing the two crystal balls under the four-sided nether dragon's claw, Yun Sheng felt a little strange. Does this mean that I have to test my magic in the underworld? No wonder Yun Sheng misunderstood. The two crystal balls that suddenly appeared under the nether dragon's claw looked very familiar. At first glance, they looked similar to the crystal balls that magic apprentices received in the temple on the Boundless Land. However, the two crystal balls were a little different in color. The crystal ball on the left claw of the nether dragon looked like it was made of obsidian. It was as black as the night. The crystal ball on the right claw was the exact opposite. It was as transparent as jade. These two crystal balls, one black and one white, are sacred items of the underworld. They are called the ball of good and the ball of evil. These two balls can test the good and evil of all creatures in their lives. If the ball of good lights up, it means that they have done countless good deeds in their lives. Even if they're dead, they can avoid going to the underworld. They only need to wait for reincarnation in the human world. This is the ball of evil. If the ball of evil lights up, it means that the person who did evil will be exiled to the underworld and will not be reincarnated. The four-sided nether dragon threw the two crystal balls into the air. The two crystal balls seemed to have eyes. They first flew toward Dollar, who was closer to him. The two crystal balls floated next to Dollar for a moment. In the end, the ball of evil slowly descended and hovered above Dollar's head. Suddenly, a black light shone brightly, like a black sun. This beast has killed more than 1,000 people in its life. It is the reincarnation of a demon. Such a person will be a disaster if he stays in the human world. It should be exiled to the underworld. The four-sided nether dragon could not help but look at the ball of evil. He did not expect that this golden demonic beast, which looked like a sacred beast, would be stained with blood. It was an unforgivable demonic beast. When Yi Baiming was a human, he had indeed killed many people. Just when he killed Blood Killer, he had killed hundreds of people alone. Yinsheng did not know about these things. She did not expect that she would be exposed in front of the ball of evil today. After that, the four-sided hell flood dragon spat out a black flame from his mouth, which was full of white teeth. It was cold to the bone. It landed on Dollar's back like an ant. On Dollar's back, there was a mark of crime. On the mark, there was the word 1,000. It meant Dollar was responsible for 1,000 lives. "It's your turn," the four-sided abyss flood dragon said. The two orbs of good and evil fell in front of Yinsheng. The sphere of good and the sphere of evil floated in the air for a moment. Suddenly, the sphere of good emitted a dazzling, five-colored light. The light was so bright that everyone couldn't help but close their eyes. The fact that the ball of goodness could emit such a strong light at once proved that this human female mage had saved countless people in her life, which was the opposite of the demonic beast just now. "Lord Pops, your master has probably saved no less than 1,000 people in her lifetime. She's not even 20 years old. If she stays in a mortal world and saves 10,000 lives in 100 years, she'll be able to achieve a God Buddha body. It's not suitable for her to enter the underworld." The four-sided hell flood dragon couldn't help but look at the orb of good. As a messenger of the underworld, he had lived for more than 10,000 years. He had seen countless good and evil people. However, it was rare for someone like Yinsheng to have saved so many lives at such a young age. The four-sided hell flood dragon didn't know that although Yinsheng had only lived for less than 20 years in this life, she was also a doctor in her previous life. As a human in both lives, she had indeed saved countless people under Yinsheng's surgical knife. Of course, my dear master is a healer. She's also the continent's youngest national healer. She saved many people in her life. Even Bobo was saved by my master. Bobo Sheep had a smug look on his face. It was pretty good to have a cool master. No wonder. Since that's the case, she shouldn't go to the underworld. If this lady goes to the underworld, she'll probably be contaminated by the evil aura. It'll be bad for her future cultivation. The four-sided hell flood dragon sighed. There was a path to becoming a god in the human world. He could already see that this female sorcerer would definitely be able to step on the path to becoming a god in the future. Yi Baiming, the golden Qilin, watched from the side. His golden eyes dimmed a little. He had killed countless people, but Yinsheng had saved countless people. Was it really just the curse of the Qilin clan and the celestial fox people that separated the two of them? If Yinsheng went to the underworld, it would be bad for her cultivation. Then wouldn't he be a burden to her in the future when they were together? Yi Baiming's heart wavered for the first time. However, just as Yi Baiming was thinking, her right hand gently landed on his body. Jean Coin raised his head and saw Yinsheng staring at him. Her eyes were like stars, as if they were filled with stars. "Four-sided hell flood dragon, you are wrong. Although I have saved countless people, I have also killed people. Moreover, I married him. As the saying goes, if you marry a chicken, follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, follow the dog. If you marry a bad person, I will be an evil woman." Yinsheng smiled and winked at Jean Coin. When the golden Qilin, Yi Baiming, heard this, the dimness in his eyes instantly disappeared. He knew in his heart that Yinsheng's words were meant for him. "If you marry a chicken, follow the chicken, follow the chicken. If you marry a dog, follow the dog, follow the dog." He, Yi Baiming, married Yinsheng. In this life, he would not let her down. Yinsheng also felt Yi Baiming's feelings. She smiled and suddenly opened her 5 fingers. She reached out and grabbed. The orb of evil that was floating in the air fell into her palm. The originally dim ball of evil also lit up. However, that light was as dim as a firefly compared to the bright light of the ball of kindness. The four-sided hell flood dragon was slightly stunned. The ball of kindness and the ball of evil actually lit up together. He had never encountered such a situation before. "Little flood dragon, why are you still in a daze? My master wants to go to the underworld. If you don't let her go, she will kill you. Then you will become a felon, right?" Popping Sheep said angrily at the side. This, sigh, my lord, don't regret your decision today. The four-sided hell flood dragon spat out another black flame. The flame landed on the back of Yun Sheng's hand, and there was another heavy punishment mark on it. However, there was the word 10 written on the mark, which symbolized that Yun Sheng had killed 10 people. Yun Sheng was secretly amazed. In her previous life, she had secretly taken care of the mafia and unscrupulous businessmen. In addition to the few people she had killed in this life, there were indeed about 10 people. The four-sided hell flood dragon could actually sense it. It seemed that the underworld was indeed something. Okay. You have the heavy punishment mark. Four-sided hell flood dragon, hurry up and go to the underworld. Popping sheep landed on Yun Sheng's shoulder. The four-sided hell flood dragon shook his head. He did not understand what these humans were thinking. They were just going to the underworld, and they were fighting to be the first. Please, the two of you stand on my back. Since the two of you were brought here by Lord Popping, I have to remind you again. The underworld today is not the underworld of the past. Be careful. After the four-sided hell flood dragon finished speaking, he lowered his body and let Yun Sheng and Dollar get on his back. Let's do a small survey. What genre does everyone want Big Foozy to write in her new book? Because there are always people asking about the ending. Chapter 1101. The underworld today was not the underworld of the past. The four-sided abyss flood dragon's words were still ringing in her ears. It seemed that something had happened in the underworld. But before Yun Sheng could ask again, the pair of bone wings on the four-sided abyss flood dragon's back crackled and opened up all of a sudden. The bone wings vibrated, and the four-sided abyss flood dragon was like a huge, empty ship breaking through the sky. It kept flying into the sky at a very fast speed. Yun Sheng had to hug baby sheep and crawl on the four-sided abyss flood dragon's back with Dollar. The four-sided abyss flood dragon was indeed a sector beast. Its flying speed was even faster than the fastest spaceship on the boundless land. It was like a bolt of white lightning, piercing through the clouds and flying tens of thousands of meters in the sky. 10,000 meters in the sky, the four-sided abyss flood dragon let out a cry. In the sky, dark clouds rolled, and a magic array from the underworld appeared. In a magic array, a black spear in the sky pierced into the sky. The sky seemed to be torn apart, and a crack appeared. The four-sided abyss flood dragon went into the crack. Dear Master, Kid Cheelin, this should be your first trip across the border. There are astral winds and evil spirits between the borders. It is very powerful. You must be careful. We will need about a day and a night to reach Wei City, Baby Sheep reminded Yun Sheng and Dollar. After Baby Sheep finished speaking, it went into the beast language ring with a whoosh. Evil winds that seemed to come from hell were in their ears. Yun Sheng and Dollar felt like they were in another world. They kept shuttling in the darkness. After a long time, the four-sided abyss flood dragon's voice sounded in their ears again. The entrance to the underworld is in front the Dongwei Gate. There are two gates in the underworld, one in the east and one in the west. The east is the Dongwei Gate, which is open for felons. The west is the Dongwei Gate, which only receives ghosts. The Dongwei Gate opens in the morning and closes in the evening. I can only send you here. I hope nothing bad will happen to you on your trip to the underworld. The four-sided abyss flood dragon folded its wings and sank quickly. Yun Sheng's stomach churned. When she opened her eyes, she saw a door looming between the clouds in front of her. The gate was different from the gate in a mortal world. It towered high into the sky. The gate was not made of stone or metal, but of unknown beast bones. Around the gate, large amounts of purplish-blue hellfire floated, illuminating the entire city gate. On top of the city gate, there was a plaque with the words Dongwei Gate written on it. The iron claws and golden hooks carried a domineering aura. The Dongwei Gate was the first stop that the criminals who were exiled to the underworld had to reach. Once they passed through the Dongwei Gate, they would be considered to have entered the underworld. The four-sided abyss flood dragon was the emissary of the netherworld. It was only responsible for transporting people here. Yun Sheng and Dollar thanked the hell flood dragon. Then, The hell flood dragon roared and disappeared into the sky. Yinsheng and Dollar stood outside the Dongwei Gate. It was around dawn. There was still some time before the Dongwei Gate opened. Yunsheng looked at the people in front and behind her. They were all like Yunsheng and Dollar. They were branded with a magic mark that symbolized criminals. Yunsheng and Dollar followed the crowd and walked toward the Dongwei Gate. Yunsheng thought for a moment. She had just come to the underworld and did not know anything. She needed to find out more about the underworld first. Brother. Yunsheng walked forward and was about to ask. The man turned around and looked at Yunsheng. He was so scared that he stepped back a few steps as if he had seen a ghost. Yunsheng saw this and wanted to ask more. However, when she was about to ask again, the man said, "I don't know anything." Yunsheng said resentfully. She could only look for another person. Just as she was about to look for someone else, the people around her dispersed in a hubbub. Everyone had an inexplicable look of horror on their faces. What was going on? Yunsheng could not help but feel depressed. Her first reaction was to touch her face. Her face was still the same. She was considered a beauty on the boundless continent. Why was it that when she came to the underworld, everyone looked like they had seen a ghost? Could it be that the people of the underworld had a problem with their aesthetics? My dear master, the problem is not with you. They are not afraid of you. They are afraid of the Qilin boy. Popping Sheep lay lazily on Yunsheng's shoulder. After being reminded by Popping Sheep, Yunsheng noticed that the people who avoided her were cowering and looking behind her. Dollar was behind her. Popping, it's all that stinky dragon's fault. He didn't make it clear. The Qilin boy is branded with the heavy punishment of the 1,000 executioner. In the underworld, such a felon is qualified to be a tyrant. This is the Dongwei Gate. The people here are all newbies who have just entered the underworld. They met the Qilin boy, so of course they are scared to death. Popping Sheep explained to Yunsheng. In a place like the underworld, whoever had the biggest fist was the boss. Whoever killed the most people was a bully. No one dared to provoke them. Ahem, Night Fox, let's make a deal. Why don't you stay in the beast language ring first? Look, if you stay by my side, I can't even ask a question. Yunsheng looked at Dollar sadly. Dollar rolled his eyes in dissatisfaction. What he meant now was blame him. Helpless, Dollar could only enter the beast language ring first. At this time, the Dongwei Gate opened. Yunsheng brought Popping Sheep and followed a group of newbies who had just entered the underworld. They walked towards the Dongwei Gate. The journey to the underworld was a little long, but it was convenient to enter the Dongwei Gate. Yunsheng only needed to show her felon brand when she entered the Dongwei Gate. When Yunsheng was registering, she also took note of the people who were heading towards the Wei capital. Most of them were of high cultivation. For example, the warrior in front of her was actually a martial sage. There was also a magician behind her. He also emitted a strong wave of dark magician. Judging by his cultivation, he was no weaker than a sky magician. When it was Yunsheng's turn, a skeleton soldier captain came forward. His hollow eyes glanced at Yunsheng's magic brand. After confirming that there was no mistake with the brand, he let Yunsheng in. The moment Yunsheng and Popping Sheep passed through the Dongwei Gate, in the underworld's Mingchuan, in a golden palace, a crystal ball was reflecting the image of Yunsheng and Popping Sheep. A tall man with sexy honey-colored skin was staring at the crystal ball. He saw a pink furry ball-like magic beast squatting on Yunsheng's shoulder. Under his blade-like eyebrows, the man's eyes were black with a tinge of red. His long hair, casually draped over his shoulders, was messy with a tinge of arrogance. After seeing Popping Sheep's appearance, the man's tall nose bridge wrinkled and he let out a short, cold snort. Achoo, it's so cold. The underworld is such a damn place. You can't even see the sun. Popping Sheep, who was squatting on Yunsheng's shoulder, suddenly had a strange feeling and sneezed loudly. Chapter 1102. Popping Sheep shrunk his neck and looked around with his black beady eyes. So strange, he had a bad premonition. What's wrong? Yunsheng noticed Popping's strange behavior. Dearest master, Popping hates this place. I always feel like someone is watching us. Popping Sheep curled his lips and nimbly slipped into Yunsheng's clothes. The underworld is different from the human realm. You're probably not acclimatized." Yunsheng didn't mind. She followed the crowd and walked through the Dongwei Gate. When Yunsheng was being interrogated, she deliberately asked the skeleton soldiers at the Dongwei Gate where the Netherworld Ghost King lived. Who knew that when the skeleton soldiers heard Yunsheng asking about the Netherworld Ghost King's whereabouts, they glared at her fiercely. Not only did they not answer, they even urged her to leave. "Dearest master, that smelly world deity of the underworld and the Netherworld Ghost King have been rivals for many years. These skeleton soldiers are the subordinates of the world deity of the underworld. It is indeed inappropriate to ask them about the Netherworld Ghost King's whereabouts." After Popping broke out of his shell, his memory slowly recovered, and he roughly knew about the underworld. The existence of the world deity was to maintain the balance between the worlds. For example, the Netherworld Ghost Key, a godly tool that could break the barrier between worlds, its existence itself was against the will of the world deity. And the one who created the Netherworld Ghost Key was the Netherworld Ghost King. The reason why the Netherworld Ghost King and the world deity of the underworld were able to coexist peacefully for so many years was not because they were good friends or got along well, but because the Netherworld Ghost King's strength was not ordinary. Thus, although he and the world deity of the underworld appeared to be the two giants of the underworld, they secretly disliked each other. As a result, the subordinates of the two sides also disliked each other. Moreover, the Netherworld Ghost King's temperament was erratic, and he didn't have a fixed residence. Sometimes, he might even wander to other worlds. It was really not easy to find him. This way, it will be much harder to find the Netherworld Ghost King. Yunsheng was in a difficult position. She wondered if she should directly use the Netherworld Ghost Key to summon the Netherworld Ghost King. But when she thought of Ji Rumo's warning that it was best not to use the Netherworld Ghost Key, she hesitated. "Dear Master, you don't have to worry too much. Although the Phantasm Ghost King's whereabouts are erratic, there's a place in the underworld called the Divine Ability Pavilion. It is said that as long as one can afford it, one can obtain any information there. However, the Magical Abilities Pavilion is only located in the capital cities of the few large counties in the underworld. We have to reach the nearest capital city first before we can find the Magical Abilities Pavilion." Popping Sheep's words reminded Yunsheng. Yunsheng first bought a map of the underworld from the skeleton soldiers at the Dongwei Gate. After checking the map, Yunsheng realized that the underworld was very different from the human world. In the underworld, there were no fixed countries. There were only 8 underworld counties. Different nether counties were guarded by different local forces. Since she was heading to the Magical Abilities Pavilion, Yunsheng had to head to the Dark Commandery, Jima Commandery, which was closest to the Dongwei Gate. Most people who entered the underworld from the Dongwei Gate would first stop at Jima Commandery. Yunsheng noticed that there was a large forest called Wei Wu between Jima Commandery and the Dongwei Gate. The forest spanned across several mountain ranges and was hundreds of miles long. It was daybreak now. If they hurried, they might be able to reach Jima Commandery in 3 days. Yunsheng looked at the map and planned whether she should set off immediately. Yunsheng did not know that after she put away the gold coins and passed through the Dongwei Gate, a few pairs of eyes with ill intentions stared at her. A single young woman was extremely eye-catching even in the boundless land, not to mention in a place like the underworld where the ratio of men to women was as high as 10-1. TSK, what a beautiful woman. I didn't expect that there would be such good goods in this batch of newcomers. Big brother, we're going to be rich this time. The people who were secretly peeping at Yunsheng were more than 10 warriors and magicians. All of them had ugly heads and rat eyes. One look and one could tell that they were not good people. As the Dongwei Gate was the first important place for criminals from the human world to arrive in the underworld, there were always some ruffians and villains who specialized in making money. Most of them belonged to a dark sect called the Thousand Yama Sect. They gathered around the Dongwei Gate all year round and looked for newcomers who did not know about the situation in the underworld. After luring them to a remote place, they would rob, kill, and commit all kinds of crimes. These warriors and magicians who had their eyes on Yunsheng were from the Thousand Yama Sect. Isn't that so? The Dongwei Gate is good in everything, but there are too few living women. On the other hand, there are many beautiful female ghosts in the Dongwei Gate. It's a pity that humans and ghosts walk different paths. We can't be friends with female ghosts. As they spoke, those 1,000 Yama sect members had a covetous look on their faces. That woman's strength is not much. Big brother, let's lure her into the Wei Fog Forest first and have a good time. After that, we'll sell her to the gold squandering house. The underlings seemed to have already seen countless soul stones dangling in front of their eyes. These underlings were able to move around in this area, so they naturally had good eyesight. They had already noticed that there was a punishment brand on the back of Yunsheng's hand. However, that brand only had the word 10 on it. The punishment brand that the four-sided hell flood dragon left on a felon represented the number of people that the felon had killed. The more people killed, the more evil the felon had committed. Generally speaking, this also meant that the felon would be able to survive in the underworld. Yunsheng's magic brand only had the word 10 on it. In the eyes of these ruffians in the capital of Dongwei, she was undoubtedly a weak felon. They did not know who she had offended, but she was actually exiled to a place like the underworld. Among them, even the worst person was responsible for 30 to 40 lives. Yunsheng kept the map. Just as she was about to stand up, she frowned. 5 or 6 people suddenly appeared beside her. What business do you have with me? Yunsheng was on guard. Fighting was not allowed near the Dongwei Gate. From the looks of it, these people did not look like newcomers to the underworld. Miss, this one is Piercing Tiger from the Thousand Hell Sect. From the looks of it, you're going to the Wei Fog Forest, right? That forest is not simple. The terrain inside is complicated, and there are many terrifying demonic plants. Many people who enter the forest never come out. It would not be good if a delicate girl like you got hurt. The leader of the group was a warrior in his 30s. His skin had a metallic luster, and his Do Chi cultivation was quite good. Thousand Hell Sect? Yunsheng secretly sized up these people. She saw that they were all wearing warrior robes and magician robes of the same color. On their chests, there was a golden mask of Yama bearing its fangs. The Thousand Hell Sect is one of the 3 major powers in Jimo region. Miss, you only need to pay 109th level magical beast soul stones, and we will send you to Jimo region. Look, there are dozens of newcomers over there. They have already entrusted us to escort them along the way. As he spoke, that person pointed behind him. Indeed, there were many warriors and magicians who had just arrived in the underworld gathered together, waiting to depart. Chapter 1103. 100 soul stones of a 9th grade magical beast? How much is this? Could it be that the underworld didn't use gold coins for transactions? Only then did Yunsheng realize a problem, and that was the problem of the underworld's currency. Before she left, she had prepared everything except for the money from the underworld. Papa, the underworld doesn't use soul stones to make transactions, right? Yunsheng asked Papa in a low voice. Yeah. Doesn't the underworld use underworld coins? Popping Sheep stammered, unable to explain. Yunsheng rubbed her eyebrows. She was really stupid. Bobo Yang was an otherworldly god. He only recognized gold coins as the currency of the human world, let alone the underworld. Did world deities need to spend money? In the human world, Yunsheng was a wealthy person. Ever since she left Banana Leaf Village, she had not experienced poverty for a long time. Who would have thought that he would become a pauper the moment he reached the netherworld? Yunsheng didn't have many soul stones with her. On the Boundless Continent, soul stones usually only had a few uses. They were used to refine magic scepters or to be embedded in magic equipment. Yunsheng was a summoner, so another function of the soul stone was to feed magical beasts. In her early years, she would use the soul stones to refine magic scepters. The number of soul stones she had with her could be counted on one hand. At most, she had no more than 50 soul stones. These people were asking for 100 soul stones, and they were soul stones from 9th rank magical beasts. Even if she really wanted to travel with the people from the Thousand Hell Sect, she couldn't afford it. Yunsheng immediately realized an even more serious problem. She wanted to go to the Magical Ability Pavilion. What if the other party also used soul stones to trade? Where would she get so many soul stones? It seemed like she could only pray that she would encounter more magical beasts or magical plants in the Wei Fog Forest and obtain more soul stones. If the lackeys of the Thousand Yamasek knew what Yin Sheng was thinking right now, they would definitely be scared shitless. Anyone who wanted to pass through the Weiwu Forest would try their best to avoid encountering magical beasts and magical plants. This weak, light criminal in front of him actually wanted to encounter more magical beasts and magical plants? Yin Sheng could only sigh silently. Just as she was about to turn around and reply, she noticed that the spiky tiger was sneaking glances at her legs and chest. If it wasn't for the fact that private fights couldn't be fought near the Dongwei Gate, she would definitely use her dark heavenly thorn to smash these people into pieces. Thank you for your reminder, but I'm used to moving alone. I can only thank you for your kindness. I've decided to go to the Weiwu Forest alone. Yin Sheng flatly refused the savage tiger's invitation. Seeing Yin Sheng openly reject him, the smile on piercing tiger's face disappeared. You want to pass through the Wei Fog Forest alone? I'm giving you face, but you don't want it. The savage tiger was about to explode when a few skeleton soldiers from the Dongwei Gate behind him looked over. Out of consideration for the skeleton soldiers, the savage tiger didn't dare to act out in public. He secretly cursed in his heart, "Ungrateful woman. Let's see how long you can last. After entering the Wei Fog Forest, I'll find a few people to teach you a lesson." The savage tiger suppressed his displeasure and strode away. Yin Sheng didn't pay any more attention to him and walked straight towards the main road leading to the Wei Fog Forest. After walking for about half an hour, the Dongwei Gate was no longer in sight. Yin Sheng had already entered the Wei Fog Forest. In front of her was a lush forest. The moment she entered the forest, Yin Sheng realized that it was no wonder so many people would pay a high price to have the Thousand Yamasek protect them. The Wei Fog Forest of the underworld wasn't simple. The underworld wasn't like the human realm. Cold winds blew all year round, and the plants that grew here never saw the sun. Due to the influence of the Yin energy, most of the plants had already mutated. Many of the plants had already been demonized and survived by devouring magical beasts and passers-by. Therefore, the soil and plants here were all red in color. In the forest, there were piles of human and magical beast skeletons everywhere. A cold wind blew past, and the air was filled with a nauseating smell of rotting corpses. Yin Sheng had no choice but to take a pill to dispel the miasma and continue walking. Not long after Yin Sheng entered the Wei Fog Forest, a sense of alarm flashed through her heart. She saw a burst of piercingly cold black shadows shooting out from the bushes beside her. An ambush. After going through many trials in the arena and hunting troops, Yin Sheng was very experienced in fighting enemies. She didn't even pull out her magic scepter. She took a few steps forward and shot out a few fireballs around her. The fireballs enveloped the black shadows, and in a flash, those black shadows were burnt black. They fell to the ground and broke into several pieces. Yin Sheng took a closer look and realized that it was actually a few vines that ambushed her. However, they were different from ordinary vines. These vines that grew in the Wei Fog Forest were actually filled with small holes. These small holes were like the mouths of magical beasts and were filled with sharp teeth. Boo-boo! It's the flesh-devouring vine of the dark demonic plant. Master, run! The moment Boo-boo entered the Wei Fog Forest, it shrank into Yin Sheng's collar and refused to come out. The smell in the forest almost made it vomit. After Yin Sheng succeeded, it stuck its head out. When it saw the few pieces of things, Boo-boo shuddered and urged Yin Sheng to run quickly. Run! Yin Sheng hadn't reacted yet. Suddenly, there was a rustling sound behind her. Hundreds of rattan vines drilled out from the forest. Each rattan was like a snake and was about 10 meters long. They carried a strong gust of wind as they attacked Yin Sheng. Bo, my dear master, after this thing dies, it will release a smell that will attract its companions. Why didn't you say so earlier? Yin Sheng complained incessantly. As it turned out, kissing sheep was a hindsight. She didn't even care about merging with kissing sheep. With a teleport, she dodged the attacks of several vines and fled into the depths of the forest. At the outskirts of Misty Weaver Forest, a 10,000 Hell Sect member who was tasked with keeping an eye on Yun Sheng landed beside the spiky tiger and whispered into its ear. Knowing that Yun Sheng was being chased by the flesh-devouring vines, the spiky tiger showed a gloating smile. I told you, it's impossible for that woman to break through this forest by herself. You guys, make your move tonight. Deal with these newbies quickly and go after that woman. After Yun Sheng had fled for a long time, the flesh-devouring vines were still chasing after her. What the hell? What the hell is this thing? Don't tell me this is going to go on forever. I have to think of a way. Yun Sheng landed beside a tree. His black eyes were burning with anger. Just as Yun Sheng was pondering, several flesh-devouring vines were closing in. Puff! Suddenly, a blade of light shot out from under the tree. The blade was as fast as lightning. One after another, it aimed at the flesh-devouring vines. Following that, dozens of arrows shot out from the forest with whooshing sounds. In just a few blinks of an eye, the flesh-devouring vines that were chasing after Yun Sheng were all killed. Strangely, the flesh-devouring vines that were killed by the blade of light and the arrows didn't attract other flesh-devouring vines. The forest returned to peace for the time being. A voice came from under the tree. Friends in the tree, you can come down. It's safe here for the time being. Chapter 1104. After hearing the voices, Yun Sheng landed on the ground without hesitation. She saw that there were already more than 10 warriors and magicians standing under the tree. Seeing that it was actually a young female magician who came down from the tree, the blue-clothed male warrior who spoke earlier could not help but be startled. The blue-clothed male warrior had delicate features, clear eyes, and a tall and thin figure. He held a half-foot-long, full-moon blade in his hand. When he saw Yun Sheng's appearance clearly, a trace of surprise flashed across his face. "Thank you for saving my life." Yun Sheng nodded and smiled. Her eyes flashed, and she silently sized up the appearance of the people beside her. Like the Thousand Yama sect, these warriors and magicians who had drawn their blades to help were also dressed in the same color. However, looking at their clothes, they seemed to belong to other sections. Although these people were not very old, most of them were only in their early 20s, their strength was not ordinary. Especially the blue-clothed male warrior who led them. He was actually a martial emperor. What are you laughing at? You look like a fox, and your strength is so weak, yet you still dare to run around in Weiwu Forest. You almost ruined our plans. Beside the male warrior was a young woman holding a bow and arrow. She was currently glaring at Yun Sheng. Yun Sheng could not help but look at the young woman a few more times. This was because Yun Sheng noticed that the bow and arrow on her back was not an ordinary bow and arrow, but a magic bow and arrow. She did not expect that there would be people in the underworld who practiced the magic bow and arrow of the elf race. This young woman stared at Yun Sheng's face with jealousy. When she noticed the cross punishment brand on the back of Yun Sheng's hand, she snorted in disdain. "Yingyu, don't be unreasonable. This young lady looks like she just came to the underworld. She did not mean to barge into our ambush." The blue-clothed man frowned, feeling very apologetic for his junior sister's unreasonable words and actions. "What did I say wrong? Look at her. She can't even handle a few flesh-devouring vines. If she hadn't met us, she would have died." Yingyu was dissatisfied. Don't think she couldn't see that when eldest senior brother saw this woman, it was as if he had lost his soul. "Bo, you ugly freak. You're the one who's dead. Our mistress is very powerful. She can crush you to death with her little finger." Bobo Sheep poked his head out and bared his teeth at Yingyu. "Senior brother Ying, look at this magical beast. I'm going to tear its mouth apart," Yingyu said angrily, as if she was going to catch the sheep. Seeing that Yun Sheng's magical beast could actually speak human language, the blue-clothed man couldn't help but look at baby sheep and Yun Sheng a few more times. He thought to himself that a magical beast that could speak human language must be a magical beast above the level of a holy beast. This lady's temperament was not ordinary, and she dared to bring such a magical beast into the Wei Fog Forest alone. Her strength was probably not as simple as it seemed on the surface. Ingyu, shut up, the blue-clothed man reprimanded. He cupped his hands towards Yun Sheng and said, I'm Ming Chuan from the Hundred clan. This young lady, may I know your name? Why did you appear in a place like the Wei Wu Forest alone? Yun Sheng had a good impression of Ying Chuan. Moreover, he had taken the lead to help her out just now. Moreover, from their tone, they should be very familiar with the Wei Wu Forest. After experiencing the flesh-devouring vines, Yun Sheng also knew that she had underestimated the enemy in this forest. It would be great if these people in front of her were familiar with the terrain. Yun Sheng just happened to want to get to know them, so that it would be easier for her to pass through this forest. I'm Yun Sheng. I just came from a human world. Because I can't afford to pay the protection fee of the Thousand Yama sect, I can only pass through this forest on foot. The moment Yun Sheng said Thousand Yama sect, the expressions of the people from the Hundred clan, including Ying Chuan, changed. Young lady, are you talking about the Thousand Yama sect? Fortunately, you're not with them. Otherwise, Ying Chuan looked at Yun Sheng, feeling lucky. With Yun Sheng's appearance, if she fell into the hands of the Thousand Yama sect, she would most likely be doomed. What do you mean? Yun Sheng was curious. Consider yourself lucky. The Thousand Yama sect is a notorious evil force in Jima County. They specialize in tricking people who have just arrived in the underworld. If they fall into their hands, they will rob the old, the weak, the sick, and the disabled and kill them. If they encounter children or women, they will sell them to the county's female brothel and slave market. Ingyu actually hoped that Yun Sheng would be sold off directly. Haha, someone actually dared to bully her. Yun Sheng laughed coldly in her heart. Who was the lucky one here? If those people from the Thousand Yama sect really dared to target her, she could guarantee that their fate wouldn't be as simple as being robbed clean. Then I'm really lucky to have met the few of you. I see that the few of you are also from Jima County. Can you take me with you to Jima County? I don't have any soul stones on me, but I have some pills that can be used as payment. With that, Yun Sheng prepared to take out the pills. Miss Yun Sheng, you don't need to pay us anything. We'll just take you out. Ying Chuan was rather straightforward. He waved his hand, indicating that Yun Sheng didn't need to pay them anything. How can that be? Senior brother Ying, we still have to find that thing. She's so weak. What if she drags us down? When Ingyu heard that they were going to take Yun Sheng with them, she stomped her feet in anger. She pulled Ying Chuan to the side and whispered to him, Are we going to leave her alone in the forest? You know how those people from the Thousand Yama sect do things. They definitely won't let things go so easily. They'll definitely set up an ambush in the dark. Besides, the Thousand Yama sect has done all kinds of evil. Have you forgotten about Junior Sister? Ying Chuan also knew that it might be inconvenient to take Yun Sheng with them. Ying Chuan and Ingyu didn't tell Yun Sheng that the Thousand Yama sect and the 100 Cloud sect were mortal enemies. Their junior sister had been killed by the people from the Thousand Yama sect. Ingyu didn't say anything after hearing this. Miss Yun Sheng, we've already discussed it. You'll travel with us. However, we still have some things to take care of in Weiwu Forest. If you don't mind, why don't you stay in the forest with us for a few days? Don't worry, we have special medicinal powder on us that can prevent the attacks of the toadstool. With that, Ying Chuan gave Yun Sheng a few bottles of medicinal powder. It was only then that Yun Sheng realized that their weapons and bodies were smeared with a special repellent powder. This powder could prevent the attacks of the demonic plants in Weiwu Forest. And so, Yun Sheng traveled with Ying Chuan and the others through Weiwu Forest. Even though Ying Chuan and the others didn't say anything, Yun Sheng could tell from their words and actions that they were looking for something very important in the forest. That night, because Yun Sheng and Ingyu were the only women in the group, the two of them slept in the same tent. Ingyu still didn't like Yun Sheng, so she gave her a dirty look throughout the journey. Yun Sheng couldn't be bothered to argue with her. When night fell, she couldn't fall asleep, so she left the tent and went outside to breathe in the fresh air. There was a bonfire outside the tent. Chapter 1105. There were a lot of strange magic beasts and magic plants in the Weiwu forest. Even though they had spread plant and beast repellent powder around the area, Ing Chuan still arranged for people to patrol the area at night in order to avoid sneak attacks. When Yun Sheng walked out of the tent, Ing Chuan was sitting by the bonfire, lost in thought. Hearing the footsteps behind him, Ing Chuan hurriedly stood up. The bright bonfire shone on Yun Sheng's pretty face, making it even more radiant. For a moment, Ing Chuan was lost in thought. "Miss Yun, I'm sorry. It was just a moment, but Junior Marshall's sister provoked Miss Yun again. Her temper has been unruly since she was young. Please don't regard her as an outsider." Ing Chuan, as an expert of the younger generation of the Bailuan sect, had always been arrogant. However, when he saw Yun Sheng this time, he was always distracted and his heartbeat quickened. "Big brother Ing, I won't take it to heart. I'm just not used to sleeping in the wild. That's why I came out to take a look." Yun Sheng smiled faintly and sat down beside Ing Chuan gracefully. Fortunately, Dollar was in the beast language ring. Otherwise, he would have been jealous again. "Miss Yun, if you trust me, can you tell me why you've come to the Netherworld?" Ing Chuan was good at reading people's expressions. He could tell that although Yun Sheng was alone and didn't seem to be very powerful, the way she talked and her temperament indicated that she wasn't an ordinary person. In the words of the mortal realm, Yun Sheng must be from an aristocratic family or a noble family. Her purpose for appearing in the underworld was definitely not that simple. As expected, I can't hide anything from Big Brother Ing. The reason I came to the Netherworld is to find the Netherworld Ghost King. Yun Sheng didn't hide anything and told him about her mother's strange illness. The Netherworld Ghost King? Ing Chuan's expression changed slightly. Yun Sheng noticed all the changes in his expression. "Big Brother Ing, do you know where the Netherworld Ghost King is?" "Miss Yun, you should return. The Netherworld Ghost King has already fallen 20 years ago." Ing Chuan's words greatly shocked Yun Sheng. Fallen? The Phantasm Ghost King had actually fallen? Yun Sheng had never expected that the Netherworld Ghost King would be dead. "But I clearly..." Yun Sheng wanted to say that she had met the Netherworld Ghost King a few years ago, but after thinking about it, she was suddenly at a loss for words. Yun Sheng recalled that the last time she met the Phantasm Ghost King, it was with the help of the Princess of Taiyuan that she traveled back in time 500 years ago. In other words, the Phantasm Ghost King she saw in the Taiyuan ruins was actually the Phantasm Ghost King from 500 years ago. 500 years had passed, so it was not impossible for the Phantasm Ghost King to fall. The Phantasm Ghost King was in existence close to the level of a god, but he was still not a god. Even if the other party was a god, he could still be slaughtered. Before the Netherworld Ghost King fell, the Netherworld World Deity and the Ghost King each controlled 4 counties out of the 8 counties of the Netherworld. 1 king and 1 deity. They were evenly matched, and the Netherworld was very peaceful. Ever since the Netherworld Ghost King fell 20 years ago, the 4 counties under the Ghost King fell into turmoil. Right now, the Netherworld is more chaotic than it has ever been. Ing Chuan sighed. Jima County, where the 100 Clouds sect was located, was originally a direct subordinate of the Netherworld Ghost King. Although the Ghost King was both righteous and evil, and his actions were unpredictable, his methods were cruel, and his military was extremely strict. Under his pressure, the evil forces in the 4 counties were suppressed to the point that they did not dare to move. However, after the Ghost King fell, some evil forces in Jima County, including the Thousand Yama sect, took the opportunity to raise their heads, causing the people in the Netherworld to suffer. "Big Brother Ing, how did the Netherworld Ghost King die? Did he have any family members or disciples?" Compared to the Netherworld Ghost King's death, Yun Sheng was more concerned about the whereabouts of the heart lamp. After all, the strand of her mother's soul, Hu Jiusheng, was locked in the heart lamp. What Yun Sheng was most worried about was that the heart lamp was damaged or its whereabouts unknown after the Netherworld Ghost King died. The outside world does not know the exact cause of his death. Some say that he fought with the Netherworld World Deity and was killed. Others say that he wanted to advance to the deity realm, but because he committed too many evil deeds, he was killed by the heavenly tribulation. He was all alone and had no wife, children, disciples, or juniors. Ying Chuan's words made Yun Sheng's heart sink. Her original hope of finding the Netherworld Ghost King's whereabouts through the Divine Ability Pavilion was dashed. Seeing that Yun Sheng's beautiful face was filled with dark clouds, Ying Chuan knew that she was depressed. After thinking for a while, he said, "Miss Yin, actually, you don't have to be too discouraged. Although I don't know how the Phantasm Ghost King died, it's rumored that after the Phantasm Ghost King died, he was buried in the Ghost King Cave. If you can go to the Ghost King Cave, perhaps you'll be able to find some clues." "Oh, then where is the Ghost King Cave?" Yin Sheng's brows were filled with hope again. Haha, if the 100-dwelling sect knew the location of the Ghost King Cave, would they have fallen to this state today? A strange voice came from the front of the tent. Thorny Tiger led dozens of people from the Thousand Yama sect and surrounded the 100-dwelling sect's tent. "Thorny Tiger, how dare you break into our tent at night?" Hearing the commotion, everyone in the tent came out. Yingyu's face was cold as she aimed the bow in her hand at Thorny Tiger. As soon as the two sides met, they drew their bows and arrows. The atmosphere seemed very tense. As it turned out, after Thorny Tiger and the others secretly dealt with the newcomers that the Dongwei sect had lured over, they were preparing to capture Yun Sheng. Who would have thought that they would not find any trace of Yun Sheng along the way? After searching around the Wei Wu forest, they discovered the whereabouts of the people from the 100-dwelling sect. Only then did they know that Yun Sheng had encountered the people from the 100-dwelling sect when she was avoiding the flesh-devouring vines. Speaking of which, the 100-dwelling sect and the Thousand Yama sect were both local powers in Jima County. However, just as Ying Chuan said before the Ghost King died, the 100-dwelling sect, the county manor, and the Divine Ability Pavilion were the three major powers in Jima County. However, after the Ghost King died, the sect master of the 100-dwelling sect, Ying Lei, who was also Ying Yu's father, was seriously injured by the people of the Thousand Yama sect when he went out on an expedition. Thus, the 100-dwelling sect gradually declined. In addition, the Thousand Yama sect burned, killed, and plundered and monopolized many of the 100-dwelling sect's original businesses. Now, the 100-dwelling sect was on the verge of collapse and could be swallowed up by the Thousand Yama sect at any time. Therefore, after Thorny Tiger learned that Yun Sheng had been rescued by the people of the 100-dwelling sect, he was not afraid of the other party's power. He directly led his men to surround the 100-dwelling sect's tent. "Oh, I was wondering who it was. So it's Miss Yingyu. For Miss Yingyu's sake, I, Thorny Tiger, will not pester you any further. As long as you hand that girl over to us, I will take my brothers and retreat." Thorny Tiger's thieving eyes stared at Yun Sheng's beautiful face. Under the night sky, the newcomer from the mortal realm looked even more lovely and moving. They had dozens of people, while the 100-dwelling sect only had a dozen people. Although Ying Chuan and Yingyu were both present, Thorny Tiger knew that they had other motives for entering the forest. They would not rashly lose their men. Therefore, Thorny Tiger naturally thought that the 100-dwelling sect would hand over Yun Sheng. How could Yingyu not understand in her heart? Although Thorny Tiger was no match for them, the other party had more people. Most importantly, it was already late at night. If they fought, the smell of blood would definitely attract some demonic beasts or demonic plants in the Wei Fog Forest. Chapter 1106. The night was as cold as water. In the forest, the two sides were still facing each other. Savage Tiger's group had smug looks on their faces. Ying Chuan, on the other hand, was frowning. Yun Sheng's finger traced the beast's speech ring. Even if the people from the 100 Clouds sect handed her over, Yun Sheng would not blame them. After all, they had only met by chance. Taking her out of the forest was one thing, but offending the Thousand Flames sect for her was another. Whoosh! The sound of an arrow piercing flesh could be heard. Immediately after, the smell of blood filled the tent. Savage Tiger's face twisted as he sucked in a breath of cold air. He hugged his injured arm and flew into a rage. "Yingyu, you little bitch! How dare you sneak attack me?" Savage Tiger didn't expecting you to suddenly shoot an arrow. That's my answer. Although I don't like this woman, I hate the Thousand Hells sect even more. Ingyu's action surprised Yun Sheng. She was about to summon Jean Coin and deal with them, but she temporarily gave up on that idea. She didn't expect Ingyu to choose to protect herself at such a critical moment. Ing Chuan let out a sigh of relief. His junior sister had been unruly since she was young, but she had a good heart. Since that's the case, don't blame us for being impolite. Brothers, let's go. Tie up those two girls as well. The thorny tiger's ferocious expression was revealed. He gave a signal, and a light mage immediately appeared beside him. With a few chants, the spiky tiger's arm that was hit by the arrow immediately stopped bleeding. Damn it, they even brought a light magician with them. The underworld wasn't like other places. Here, light magicians were really rare. She didn't know where Savage Tiger found a light magician. Ing Chuan and the others couldn't compare to Savage Tiger. Among Savage Tiger's group, only Savage Tiger was an intermediate martial saint. The others were all martial ancestor realm. On the 100 Hell sect side, Ing Chuan and Ingyu were quite strong. Ing Chuan had been a martial saint for many years. Ingyu was also a magic archer. She was a sky magician and a beginner martial saint. But if the enemy had another light magician, it would be hard to say. You step aside, don't get in the way. But she was already injured, so Ingyu could only force herself to stand and pull Yunsheng behind her. Yunsheng rolled her eyes. Did these people think that she was a burden? Ingyu's temper wasn't very good, but her arrows were top-notch. She knocked an arrow and began to work. On the bowstring, a light green magical power was injected. With a flick of his finger, several arrows imbued with the power of wind blades shot out towards the light mage. Experienced warriors and mages all knew that in a group battle, the first to be killed was the other party's light mage. Bo, this woman is a little ugly, but she's quite smart. Bobo Sheep poked his pink head out and looked around with his beady eyes. Yunsheng's eyes flashed, and she began to observe the competition between Ing Chuan and the piercing tiger. Ing Chuan's swordsmanship was also quite good. On the blade of his sword, streaks of fire-like fighting aura emerged and tangled with the piercing tiger. The piercing tiger roared, and the word king appeared on his forehead. His arms suddenly doubled in size, and he let out a tiger's roar, which was incomparably fierce. Ing Chuan dodged again and again. The tiger's roar hit a tree, and the tree immediately broke. At this time, the piercing tiger suddenly staggered. He felt a piercing pain in the soles of his feet. The tiger's roar suddenly stopped, and he didn't even have time to see what was happening under his feet. The wind direction of the blade in Ing Chuan's hand suddenly changed, and the blade became a bit sharper. Layers of blade shadows rushed towards the piercing tiger. The sharp blade made the piercing tiger feel a chill in his heart. Since the piercing tiger dared to walk around the Dongwei Gate, he naturally had some ability. He roared and spat out a stream of fighting aura. The fighting aura was like a dart. With a bang, it hit Ing Chuan's broadsword. Ing Chuan only felt the web between his thumb and forefinger go numb. The blade in his hand suddenly deviated from its trajectory and slashed across the piercing tiger's cheek. An inch-deep scar appeared on his face. Behind him, a miserable scream was heard. The light magician was shot in the chest by several arrows under Ingyu's sniping. The disciple of the 100-ring gate went forward and slashed. The light magician's hand that was holding the magic scepter flew out and rolled into the bushes. The piercing tiger looked down and found that there was a finger-sized bloody hole on his foot. The bloody hole went through both ends, and blood kept flowing out. At first glance, it was obvious that it wasn't caused by ordinary thorns. When he and Ing Chuan were fighting, both of them were very fast. Someone was actually able to sneak attack him in the middle of the chaotic battle. Could it be that someone was secretly helping the 100-ring gate, and the other person was a dark magician? The piercing tiger's angry eyes turned. He already had some thoughts of retreating. He never thought that the person who used the dark thorns to sneak attack him was Yun Sheng, who was watching from the sidelines. It was no wonder. No matter if it was the 100-ring gate or the Thousand Hell sect, no one would have thought that a light criminal could use such powerful dark magic. Ing Chuan, Ingyu, don't be complacent. You're lucky tonight. There's an expert helping you in the dark. Let's wait and see when we get back to Jima County. The piercing tiger shouted. With a wave of his hand, the people of the Thousand Hell sect quickly retreated from the forest. An expert helping us in the dark. Ing Chuan and Ing Yu saw the people of the 100 Run Gate retreat, and their expressions relaxed. But when they recalled the words of the piercing tiger, they felt that something was wrong, especially Ing Chuan. He also noticed that when the two of them were locked in battle, the piercing tiger clearly showed an opening, which allowed him to seize the opportunity. Ing Yu's beautiful eyes scanned the surroundings, but she didn't find any signs of an expert. She was suspicious, and her gaze wandered around Yun Sheng and the kissing sheep on her body. But after pausing for a moment, she withdrew her gaze. Just now, Yun Sheng had been hiding behind her. Even if you beat her to death, and you wouldn't believe that a light criminal who had only killed 10 people would have the ability to sneak attack a bandit like the piercing tiger. TCH, those who look down on their dear master will regret it in the end. The baby sheep snorted. It's getting late. Everyone should rest well. Tomorrow morning, we'll continue to walk into the depths of the forest. Ing Chuan counted the number of casualties. It was much better than he had expected. But just as Ing Chuan told everyone to return to the tent to rest, a trace of coldness flashed through Yun Sheng's heart. Whoosh! Suddenly, something was thrown out from the shrubbery that was so dark that they couldn't see their own fingers. Ing Chuan's eyes were sharp and his hand was fast. He swung his sword and saw that there was a severed hand on the ground. That hand was clearly the hand of the light magician who had been cut off earlier. Everyone looked carefully. With the help of the bonfire, they saw that the severed hand had turned dark purple. More than half of the flesh had been bitten off. Behind them, a rustling sound came from the shrubbery. Chapter 11:07. The shuffling sounds grew louder and louder. It sounded as if countless magical beasts were approaching. The battle had just ended, and everyone was exhausted. They hadn't recovered yet. If they were ambushed by magical beasts now, they would be powerless. Be careful. Ing Chuan and Ing Yu exchanged a look. Their expressions turned grave. They were even more nervous than when they'd encountered the Thousand Flames sect. They'd scattered a large amount of medicinal powder in the surroundings. Logically speaking, the magical beasts and plants in this area shouldn't dare to come close. Whoosh! There was a sharp sound that sounded like a metal whistle. A giant centipede that was 5 meters long drilled out of the bushes, but that centipede looked very strange. Its skin was like the bark of a tree, full of wrinkles. In the middle of its body, there was a huge mouth about the same size as its body. From the huge mouth, blood-red mucus was spitting out. Its upper body was raised high, and its 100 or so root-like legs kept moving. Its lower body was like a tree, deeply embedded in the soil. As the centipede twisted, the ground shook violently. It's a scarlet centipede tree. Ing Chuan and Ing Yu's expressions changed when they saw the strange centipede tree. The centipede tree was a parasitic magical plant. It was a magical vine that parasitized the maggot eggs of a newborn scarlet centipede tree. After 100 years of growth and absorbing the scarlet centipede tree's flesh, it grew into a powerful half-beast, half-plant magical plant. This magical plant was highly poisonous. Although it was rooted in the soil, it could move freely in the forest like a magical beast. It could also use earth and fire magic to fight in the forest. It was especially powerful and was the overlord of Weiwu Forest. Normally, Ing Chuan and the others wouldn't enter Weiwu Forest rashly and attract the scarlet centipede tree's bad luck. But this time was an exception. Ing Chuan and Ing Yu's main purpose in entering Weiwu Forest was to find this centipede tree. 3 years ago, Ing Yu's father was ambushed by the Thousand Flames sect and was severely poisoned. These years, the 100 Flames sect had been searching for an antidote. Half a month ago, Ing Chuan spent a lot of money to inquire at the Magical Arts Pavilion that the Scarlet Centipede's soul crystal could cure the sect leader's poison. However, because the Scarlet Fire Treant was very difficult to deal with, the Shadow Sect leader, was unwilling to let the two of them take the risk of entering the forest. This time, the two of them and a few of their disciples also snuck into the forest behind the sect leader's back. It was just that this kind of treant would usually only appear in the special areas of the Wayfog Forest. It was even more unexpected that it would suddenly appear here after a fierce battle. It was obvious that the smell of blood from the fierce battle between the 100 Cloud sect and the 1,000 Hell sect had attracted this devil plant. Ingyu was a woman, and this was the first time she had seen such an ugly magic plant. Her hand holding the bough couldn't help but tremble. Woo! While everyone from the Balan sect was still in a daze, the scarlet flame tree centipede was like a whirlwind as it whistled through the air. Its vine-like legs grabbed a 100 Thunder sect disciple and stuffed him into its mouth. Bastard, let go of my junior brother. Seeing the tree barbarians attack, Ing Chuan's saber light vibrated. He stomped his feet and leaped off the ground. The saber in his hand was wrapped in a ferocious fighting aura as it pierced toward Shu Yi. When the tree centipede heard the piercing wind from the saber, it paused for a moment. Then, the huge mouth on its abdomen spat out a fierce flame. The flame could melt metal and melt bone. Ing Chuan's saber looked like it was going to melt the moment it got close. He threw the saber with all his might. The blade turned into a silver flash and pierced into the tree centipede's mouth. He grabbed the captured junior brother with one hand and pushed him back, out of the tree centipede's poisonous mouth. The saber pierced into the tree centipede's mouth. The tree centipede let out a shrill cry. Its vine-like legs extended countless meters in an instant and wrapped around Ing Chuan's waist, dragging him back. Ing Chuan didn't panic after losing his saber. He roared and punched the tree centipede's vines with dense, fighting aura on his fist. He didn't expect that his iron fist, which could shatter a 1,000-kilogram boulder, couldn't even move the tree centipede's body. Senior brother. Ing Yu and the others had just caught their junior brother. They turned around and saw that Ing Chuan was trapped by the tree centipede. In a moment of desperation, Ing Yu condensed magic power on the bow in her hand. She shot one arrow after another at the tree centipede. The arrows, which carried wind elemental magic elements, were fast and accurate. They shot towards the tree centipede one after another. Ing Yu's actions completely enraged the tree centipede. It let out a sharp and strange sound. It grabbed Ing Chuan and burrowed into the ground. Where's the monster? The surroundings returned to normal. Ing Yu and the other disciples of the 100 Rin sect panicked. For a moment, they couldn't find the whereabouts of the fiery red tree centipede. Yun Sheng's black eyes flashed as she searched the ground inch by inch. Watch your step. It's the Earth Elemental Super Spell, Earth Wave Tremor, Yun Sheng suddenly shouted. What a cunning beast. It knows how to use super spells. I underestimated it. A brownish-yellow magic array appeared on the ground. Rumble. Countless cracks appeared on the ground, as if it had experienced a small-scale earthquake. The people of the 100 Ren sect panicked. Ing Yu couldn't stand still and was about to fall into the cracks. Woo! There was another whistling sound. The tree's centipede, which had disappeared, suddenly burrowed out of the ground. It opened its mouth and was about to swallow Ing Yu. Ing Yu was about to be swallowed by the tree centipede when she felt a hand on her waist. Her body moved back a few meters in an instant, avoiding the tree centipede's most fatal attack. Why is it you? Ing Yu was about to thank her when her mouth opened into a big O shape. Only then did she realize that the hands that held her were slender. The person who saved her was actually the petty criminal she had always looked down on. Yin Sheng. Of course it's me. Yin Sheng smiled sweetly. Miss Ing Yu, your archery skills are not enough to deal with a big guy like the fiery red tree centipede. Ing Yu was still grateful, but when she heard that Yun Sheng dared to belittle her archery skills, anger rose in her heart, and she was about to explode. Unexpectedly, a delicate zither appeared in Yun Sheng's hand. The zither looked like jade. Yun Sheng handed it to the disciples of the 100 Rin sect. The magic wings on her back flapped gently, and she flew toward the fiery red tree centipede like a shooting star. Is she crazy? Ing Yu saw Yun Sheng holding a zither and confronting the tree centipede. It was as if she had seen a ghost. But what happened next instantly petrified Ingyu. Yun Sheng stood in the air as a cold glint flashed through his pitch-black eyes. Her slender fingers landed on the zither. The strings of the originally simple and unadorned zither were injected with a lot of magic power and suddenly lit up with several rays of light. Chapter 1108. Looking at the zither in Yun Sheng's hand, the people from the Bailuan sect were suspicious. Could it be that Miss Yin wanted to use such a frail-looking zither to fight the flaming red tree spirit? Whoosh, whoosh. As her slender fingers fell, the magical radiance on the zither strings turned into a cold glint in an instant. The sound of the zither instantly formed dozens of magical attacks that were sharper than blades and arrows. At first, the sound of the zither sounded endless, but its power was like that of thunder. Countless zither notes, some in the form of fireballs, some in the form of wind blades, some in the form of earth spikes, some in the form of water arrows, and some in the form of black lightning attacks. These magical attacks were merciless, and the angles of the attacks were extremely tricky. The pink demonic beast, squatting on Yun Sheng's shoulder, flapped its wings from time to time. Dear Master, break its legs and explode its head. The magical attacks formed by the sound of the zither were even more ferocious than the attacks of senior brother Ing Chuan, a martial Grand Emperor expert. Wounds quickly appeared on the flaming red tree spirit, whose skin was like tree bark. Cold sweat trickled down the foreheads of the disciples from the Bailuan sect. They suddenly realized that Miss Yun Sheng was actually an extremely powerful expert. Earlier, they had thought that she was a weak, light criminal. The tree spirit knew how powerful the sound of the zither was. It could not dodge in time and try to burrow into the ground. However, there was a wave of movement on the ground, and rows of sharp black thorns rose from the ground and pierced the roots of the flaming red tree spirit. The tree spirit let out a sharp hiss. The sound of the zither was like an avalanche, and it carried magical power as it slashed toward the waist of the tree spirit. Yun Sheng had already seen clearly that the weakest part of the tree spirit, which looked as tough as old tree bark, was its waist, which was buried in the ground. With a swoosh, the waist of the tree spirit was cut in half by the sound of the zither, and yellow pus sprayed all over the ground. This slash was crafty and vicious, and its power was even more shocking. The 100 Thunder Gates people couldn't help but change their expressions. However, Yun Sheng, who was in midair, had a very relaxed expression on her face. It was as if she was playing a beautiful zither. Her appearance was as if she was simply not killing the tree stalks. Instead, she was playing a zither under the moonlight. No one was more shocked than Ingyu when she saw this. Her eyes were wide open, as if she had seen the strangest thing in the world. She stared at the zither music attacks falling from the sky one after another. So powerful. Ingyu was a magic archer. No one knew better than her the meaning of so many magic zither lights. That was magic power, and it was magic power of many different attributes. A magic attack was many times more difficult than a normal dochi attack. Even Ingyu herself couldn't control so many magic attacks at once. However, the weak-looking female mage, who had been hiding behind him earlier, was handling the situation with ease. The funniest thing was that she had actually mocked him earlier. At this moment, Ingyu wished she could find a hole to hide in. Seeing that the fiery red tree spirit had lost its vitality, Bobo's sheep was very nimble. Dearest master, let me do it. Let me do it. The fiery red tree spirit was a king-level magical beast. Dearest master was really too powerful. Her celestial fox's second inheritance would definitely defeat the tree stalks. That soul crystal was his. Yun Sheng also knew that Bobo's sheep was going to play a role in hindsight again, so she simply let it do it. The 100 Thunder Gates people all widened their eyes. With a whoosh, Bobo's sheep's small body had already landed beside the corpse of the tree stalk from Yun Sheng's shoulder. Bobo's sheep's pair of meaty wings flapped, and with a sudden force, it pulled out the lower half of the fiery red tree spirit, which was countless times bigger than itself, like pulling out a radish, and threw it aside. The ground shook a few times. The poor fiery red tree spirit was considered a tyrant in the Weiwu forest, but tonight it was killed by Yun Sheng and Bobo's sheep, two evil beasts who pretended to be pigs to eat tigers. What amazing strength! The 100 Thunder Gates disciples were once again stunned. They didn't expect that the magical beast squatting on Miss Yun Sheng's shoulder was actually so terrifying. Bobo, a king-level magical beast's soul crystal. Bobo Sheep's black bean-like eyes emitted bursts of light. It nimbly dug out a red soul crystal from the fiery red tree spirit's abdomen. Seeing that the tree stalk was completely dead, the 100 Thunder Gates people recovered their wits. Ingyu hurriedly ordered people to search around, and finally rescued the unconscious Ing Chuan from an underground nest not far away. After treatment, Ing Chuan woke up. He had just woken up, and when he opened his eyes, he saw the fiery red tree spirit lying on the ground not far away. The fiery red tree spirit's body had been cut in half by a sharp weapon. A trace of shock appeared in Ing Chuan's eyes. While Ing Chuan was unconscious, he was still thinking that the 100 Thunder Gate was really going to face a great disaster this time. Who killed the fiery red tree spirit? He then looked to his side. Ing Yu and his junior brothers of the 100 Thunder sect were still there. Yun Sheng and her magical beast were standing not far away. Ing Yu and his junior brothers were all looking at Yun Sheng with reverence. After asking, Ing Chuan already knew what had happened. Miss Yun Sheng, thank you for saving our lives. Ing Yu, quickly come over and thank Miss Yun. Ing Chuan had already learned the truth from Ing Yu, so he wasn't particularly surprised. As he had guessed, Yun Sheng wasn't an ordinary person. It was just that Ing Chuan hadn't expected Yun Sheng to be able to kill the fiery red tree spirit on her own. What's there to thank? We weren't the ones who begged her to kill the fiery red tree spirit. If it wasn't for her, we would have been able to get the fiery red tree spirit's soul crystal long ago. Although Ing Yu had silently acknowledged Yun Sheng's strength in her heart, she still admitted defeat verbally and refused to thank Yun Sheng no matter what. She also felt somewhat resentful that Yun Sheng had deliberately concealed her strength. She and her senior brother Ing Chuan had spent a lot of time tracking down the fiery red tree spirit. If Yun Sheng hadn't offended the Thousand Hell sect, they might have already made their move tonight. Regardless of whether it was the underworld or the human world, there was a rule that whoever killed an ownerless magical beast or magical plant would get to keep the soul crystal. Moreover, the fiery red tree spirit was killed by Yun Sheng. If she really wanted to take the soul crystal, and you could only complain, she couldn't really snatch it, so she could only stare at the fiery red tree spirit from the side. Miss Yun Sheng, please forgive Ing Yu's rudeness. That soul crystal is really important to the 100 Hell sect. Do you think you can sell it to us at a high price? Ing Chuan also had a helpless expression. If it was any other time, he definitely wouldn't have made such an unreasonable request. However, the soul crystal was related to his master's life and death, so he could only thicken his skin and beg once. Chapter 1109. When Yun Sheng heard this, she knew that 100 Rin's sect definitely needed this soul crystal. She wasn't a tyrannical person, so she was just about to ask Baby Sheep to hand over the soul crystal of the Scarlet Flame Tree Centipede. Who knew that when Baby Sheep heard this, he would stuff the soul crystal into his mouth with a huff? What a joke. Don't even think about taking away a soul crystal that has entered this world deity's pocket. Baby Sheep snorted. Why was he so stingy? If he really became a world deity, he wouldn't care about those large amounts of king-level soul crystals. However, this was a special time. He was a world deity waiting to be appointed, and he was in the territory of that smelly fart underworld deity. He had to speed up his cultivation so that he wouldn't lose face in the future. He would eat as many king-level soul crystals as he could find. Yun Sheng was very embarrassed. She was also speechless by Baby Sheep's willfulness. Ing Yu was so angry that her face turned red. The group of people from 100 Rin's sect also showed angry expressions. Big Brother Ing, I'm sorry. Baby Sheep is still young, Yun Sheng said helplessly. How about this? If we meet another Scarlet Flame Tree Centipede on the way, I'll hunt another soul crystal as compensation. Do you think you can hunt it just like that? The scarlet flame tree centipede is a very rare, mutated demonic plant. Even in the Wei-Wu forest, there aren't many of them. Without the soul crystal, my father's poison can't be cured. Ingyu had been lying in ambush in the forest for half a month before she found traces of the tree centipede. Seeing that the soul crystal had been eaten by baby sheep, her eyes turned red. When Yunsheng heard this, she immediately felt relieved. She had thought that the scarlet flame tree centipede was very important. Big brothering, missing you, what kind of poison has sect mastering been poisoned by? Why don't you take me to have a look? I won't hide it from you. I'm a doctor, and I happen to have some miraculous medicines that can cure all kinds of poisons. The miraculous medicines Yunsheng mentioned were naturally the water of life. The water of life from the immortal Holy Grail was useful against most poisons in the human world. Yunsheng believed that it could also cure the underworld's poison. Even though the people from the Bailuan sect did not really believe that a young doctor like Yunsheng could possess such brilliant medical skills, they could only rush to the Bailuan sect with Yunsheng since they no longer had the Scarlet Fire Soul Crystal. On the other side, Thousand Hell Sect's Spiky Tiger, who had been ambushed by Yunsheng, returned to the Thousand Hell Sect's headquarters in Jima province with injuries. The reason why Savage Cub was able to run amok in the Dongwei Gate was because he was uncle and nephew to the vice sect master of the Myriad Hell Sect, C.I. Lai. Every time the Spiky Tiger committed a crime, it would hand over a portion of its soul stones to C.I. Lai. This time, C.I. Lai was furious when he heard that C.I. Lai had met with an accident and was defeated by the 100-Ring Gate. Useless thing, you can't even beat those two little bastards, Ing Chuan and Ing Yu. But you don't have to worry. The 100 Thunder Gate doesn't have many good days left. Assassin revealed a sinister smile. Uncle, what do you mean? Are you saying that the sect master's injuries have healed? Wan Tianqiu, the sect master of the Thousand Hell Sect, was similar in strength to the sect master of the 100-Ring Gate. They were both intermediate martial gods. However, when the Thousand Hell Sect launched a sneak attack on the 100-Ring Gate, both Wan Tianqiu and Ing Hai were severely injured. Although Ing Hai was severely poisoned, Wan Tianqiu was also severely injured. Therefore, although the Thousand Hell Sect had been suppressing the 100-Ring Gate recently, they did not have the ability to annihilate the 100-Ring Gate. The sect master is still in closed-door cultivation. However, this time, the two of us can kill that old fellow, Ing Hai, even without the sect master's help. Do you know why the juniors from the 100-Ring Gate are in the Wei-Wu forest? That's because I bribed the people from the Magical Ability Pavilion and sold them a fake piece of information. As the vice sect master of the Thousand Inferno sect, C.I. Lai was very shrewd, even though he had just become a martial god. It would be fine if the juniors from the 100-Ring Gate did not find the soul crystal of the great fiery scarlet tree sprite. However, if they did find the soul crystal, the same day next year would be the anniversary of Ing Hai's death. Men, go and keep an eye on the 100-Ring Gate. As soon as we receive news of Ing Hai's death, we will immediately annihilate the 100-Ring Gate. Without Ing Hai, the 100-Ring Gate would undoubtedly be in C.I. Lai's pocket. When he thought of the various treasures and properties in the 100-Ring Gate, C.I. Lai drooled. Seeing his uncle's confident face, the piercing tiger endured the pain and quickly flattered him. Uncle, you are really astute and astute. I can't catch up to you even if I were to flatter you. I also have a request. The 100-Ring sect has snatched a beautiful sorceress from me. If I destroy the 100-Ring sect, I hope that uncle can reward me with that sorceress. When the piercing tiger thought of Yunsheng's beautiful face and graceful figure, his heart itched as if a cat was scratching it. Useless. Look at you. You'll die in the hands of a woman sooner or later. She's just a female magician. Once the Thousand Hell Sect becomes the biggest sect in Jimo region, I'll be able to get you even if you want a female ghost. Assassin's face was filled with disappointment. Just as the people from the Thousand Hell Sect were lying in ambush near the 100-Ring Gate, Ing Chuan left the Wei-Wu forest with Yunsheng and entered Jima County. As one of the 8 major counties in the underworld, Jima County was the county closest to the Eastway Gate. Therefore, most of the humans gathered here. Yun Sheng looked at the bustling city gate and suddenly had the illusion that she was still in the human world. The 100 Ring Gate was located in Jima City. When Yun Sheng entered the 100 Ring Gate, she acutely sensed that there were a few strong auras lying in ambush near the gate. It seemed that there were still people concerned about the safety of the 100 Ring Gate's leader. Master was ambushed during a routine inspection half a year ago. The other party used a vicious poison. We all suspect that it was the work of the Thousand Hells sect, but we don't have any evidence. Ying Chuan led Yun Sheng into the room of the 100 Ring Gate's leader. A man in his 40s with a pale face was lying on the sickbed. When Ying Yu saw the man's appearance, she quickly went forward and said softly, "Father, I am useless." The soul crystal of the fiery red tree sprite was taken away. After saying that, she did not forget to turn around and glare at the baby goat on Yun Sheng's shoulder. The man did not care. He knew that the poison had already seeped into his meridians. Even the soul crystal of the fiery red tree sprite might not be able to save him. As long as his daughter and eldest disciple Ying Chuan were fine, he was satisfied. Ying Hai did not even have the strength to speak. However, he still noticed that there was a woman following behind Ying Chuan. That woman was not simple at all. When she entered the sect, even he, a martial god, could not see through her cultivation level. Moreover, there was a demonic beast squatting on her body. Sect leader Ying, I'm the doctor that Big Brother Ying and Miss Ying invited. Please let me take a look at your condition. Yun Sheng did not dawdle. She directly walked forward and took sect leader Ying's pulse. After taking a look, she frowned and said, Big Brother Ying, sect leader Ying's poison is not ordinary. I need to examine it carefully. Please send your servants away. Also, set up a restriction around the room. Ying Chuan saw that Yun Sheng's expression was strange. He then looked at his master Ying Hai. Ying Hai was an understanding person. He nodded. Ying Chuan quickly followed Yun Sheng's instructions. Those who were supposed to work went to work, and those who were supposed to study went to study. It was the first day of work, and I felt like my whole body was as weak as noodles. Thank you for the tips and recommendation tickets. It's already the end of the month. If you still don't vote, I'll go rob you guys. Chapter 11:10. Soon, only the father and daughter of the Ying family, Yun Sheng, Ying Chuan, and the others were left in the room. Yun Sheng, how is my father's condition? Ying Yu could tell from Yun Sheng's expression that something was amiss. Yun Sheng glanced at Ying Yu coolly. Since this woman hadn't handed her over in the forest, she would tolerate her this once. Who told you that the scarlet fiery tree sprite's soul crystal could cure sect leader Ying's poison? Yun Sheng's voice was filled with a hint of murderous intent. With Yun Sheng's medical skills, it wasn't difficult for her to identify the poison in Ying Hai's body. However, when she was examining him, she discovered that the poison in Ying Hai's body was a very strong fire poison. If this fire poison was dragged out slowly, Ying Hai could live for 3 to 5 years before slowly dying of exhaustion. However, if she really did as Ying Yu and the others had said and found the scarlet fiery tree sprite's soul crystal to cure Ying Hai's poison, then the poison would definitely attack his heart and Ying Hai would die on the spot. The prescription was given by the Magical Abilities Pavilion. Could it be that there's something wrong with it? Ying Yu grew anxious. Desperate times call for desperate measures. You almost killed sect leader Ying. I can cure this poison, but I'll need about 3 days to completely cure it. Yun Sheng was in a bad mood. She ordered Ying Chuan to bring her a brush and paper. She scribbled a few words and wrote down a prescription. Yun Sheng had casually written down the prescription. They were all warm and nourishing herbs. However, at the end, Yun Sheng would add a few drops of the water of life. Even though they weren't in the mortal realm, Yun Sheng was still as cautious as ever. She didn't want to expose the fact that she possessed the immortal Holy Grail. You can really save father? You're not trying to extort us? Ying Yu still didn't quite believe it. She had treated Yun Sheng so badly in the past. She didn't really believe that Yun Sheng would be so magnanimous as to save her father. Get the medicine. Sect leader Shadow will definitely recover within 3 days. However, it's up to you whether you want to announce this good news to the public. Yunsheng was too lazy to argue with Ingyu. She had lived 2 lives. How could she not see that Ingyu was hostile to her because of Ing Chuan? Please, she had lived 2 lives. Just dealing with Night Fox was enough of a headache. How could she have the energy to care about other women's jealousy? Do as divine physician Yin says. Ing Chuan, spread the news that my condition has worsened in the next few days. Ing Hai had already sat up. Just now, when Yun Sheng was diagnosing him, he felt that a strange force had been injected into his pulse. For an expert like Ing Hai, when an external force entered his body, his first reaction would be to resist it. However, as a martial god, Ing Chuan discovered that he was unable to resist that strange force. Ing Hai was shocked. The feeling of powerlessness in his body lessened a lot in an instant. Soon, Ing Hai discovered that the force was not malicious. After the force entered his body, he felt much more comfortable. His vital qi was like a moving needle as it circled around his body. In less than a quarter of an hour, he could feel that much of the poison that had been accumulating in his body had been removed. In addition, when Yun Sheng had prescribed the medicine, she had said something meaningful. How could an old fox like the Shadow Sect leader, who had experienced great storms and waves, not understand her hidden meaning? Ing Chuan and Ing Yu had paid a great price to go to the Magical Abilities Pavilion to find a prescription for their own condition. However, they did not expect that the people of the Thousand Hells sect would secretly seize the opportunity. If it were not for the appearance of this stunning woman in front of him, he was afraid that he would have died in a daze this time. If he died, it was easy to imagine what would happen to the 100 Thunder sect. Father, you can move your body? Ing Yu was pleasantly surprised. However, she was immediately shocked by her father's warning. Master, are you suspecting that someone is secretly plotting against you? Ing Chuan also realized that something was wrong. Someone wants to take advantage of the situation to annex the 100 Thunder sect. This time, I will definitely make them go for wool and come home shorn. A dark cloud covered Ing Hai's face. Those scum of the Thousand Hells sect actually used such a sinister method. How could he? Ing Hai. Let them get what they wanted. Ing Yu helped Ing Hai rest while Ing Chuan arranged a guest room for Yun Sheng. After what happened with Ing Hai, Ing Chuan's admiration for Yun Sheng had long turned into reverence. He also knew that this woman, who looked younger than him and Ing Yu, was far superior to him and Ing Yu in terms of strength and intelligence. He did not dare to have any improper thoughts. Big Brother Ing, I have one more thing to ask. Previously in Weiwu Forest, you said that after the Phantasm Ghost King died, he was buried in a place called the Ghost King Cave. Where's the Ghost King Cave now? Yun Sheng was only halfway through her question in Weiwu Forest when she was interrupted by the piercing tiger. Just now, they had been rushing to see a doctor, and she had not found a chance to ask Ing Chuan. The Ghost King Cave was a tomb that the Phantasm Ghost King built for himself on a whim when he was alive. Its location is very mysterious. For so many years, no one has known its whereabouts. If Miss Yun is interested, you can go to the Magical Ability Pavilion and ask. Perhaps the people there have a way to know the location of the Ghost King Cave. Ing Chuan told Yun Sheng regretfully that he did not know the location of the Ghost King Cave either. After all, the 100 Thunder sect was only a declining power in Jima County. Even the great powers of the underworld might not know the location of the Ghost King Cave. Not only the 100 Thunder sect, but most of the sect experts and aristocratic families in the 8 counties of the underworld have been searching for the location of the Ghost King Cave after the death of the Ghost King. The Phantasm Ghost King's whereabouts were unpredictable. However, there were different opinions about his strength. His footprints were all over the human realm, the underworld, and even the god realm. Therefore, his ultimate techniques and treasures were even more innumerable. It was said that after he died, all of his treasures and martial arts were left in the Ghost King Cave. As long as one could enter the Ghost King Cave, it meant that in the foreseeable future, a character like the Phantasm Ghost King would appear on the continent again. Unfortunately, when the Phantasm Ghost King built the Ghost King Cave, he had already hidden the location of the Ghost King Cave. Since he had no descendants or relatives, the location of the Ghost King Cave became a case without any clues. It was the magical ability pavilion again. It seemed that the original plan would not change. She still had to make a trip to the magical ability pavilion tomorrow. Yinsheng thought to herself. The next day, Yinsheng woke up early in the morning. She inquired the people of the 100 Thunder sect about the location of the magical ability pavilion. Then, she brought baby sheep to the magical ability pavilion. There were auction houses on the Boundless Continent, but there was no place like the magical ability pavilion. According to Ying Chuan's description, the magical ability pavilion was more like a spy agency in Yunsheng's impression. As long as one had money, one could buy any information. It was very likely that the location of the Ghost King Cave could be found in this information. Chapter 11:11. After Yun Sheng stepped into the Mystical Abilities Pavilion, she suddenly remembered a very serious problem. That was, she did not have money. To be precise, she did not have the underworld currency, soul stones that could be used in the underworld. Previously, when she was in Weiwu Forest, Yun Sheng had planned to obtain some soul stones as soon as possible in the forest. Who knew that she would be interrupted by the 100 Cloud clan, and she would not be able to obtain a single soul stone. Originally, she could have obtained a red fire soul crystal that should have been considered precious, but it had been swallowed by that miser baby sheep. Now, Yinsheng really did not have many soul stones on her. Even if she had not asked, Yinsheng could imagine with her toes that the price for such big news as the location of the Ghost King Cave would definitely be astronomical. However, since she was already here, Yinsheng could only brace herself and enter the Mystical Abilities Pavilion first. The moment she entered the Mystical Abilities Pavilion, Yunsheng discovered that the famous Mystical Abilities Pavilion in the underworld was an inconspicuous shop. Other than the signboard with the words Mystical Abilities Pavilion hanging on the door, the furnishings inside were no different from an ordinary pawn shop. The small shop was 10 square meters in size and did not have any goods for sale. There was only a tall counter, and behind the counter sat a shriveled old man who was currently dozing off. Yunsheng coughed softly a few times, and that old man's eyelids trembled. He opened his muddy old eyes and glanced at Yunsheng. "Excuse me, is this the Mystical Abilities Pavilion?" Yunsheng found it very difficult to associate the two words mystical abilities with this inconspicuous little shop in front of her. Nonsense, of course this is the Mystical Abilities Pavilion. There's only one shop in the entire Jima Commandery. I am a shopkeeper of the Mystical Abilities Pavilion, Shunjizi. I know everything about the underworld from astronomy to ghosts and deities. Little girl, if you want to buy information, hurry up. The Mystical Abilities Pavilion only sells 10 pieces of information a day. We won't accept any overdue information. The shriveled old man who called himself Shunjizi narrowed his eyes, looking as if he was about to fall asleep at any moment. Shunjizi had white hair and a white beard, and he looked to be close to 100 years old. Yunsheng was afraid that he would fall asleep again, so she quickly said, "Old man, I want to know the whereabouts of the Ghost King Cave." When he heard the words Ghost King Cave, the corners of Shunjizi's mouth twitched. His originally drowsy expression immediately changed. His wrinkled, old face immediately broke into a smile that resembled a chrysanthemum flower. "If you're here for information about the Ghost King Cave, then you've asked the right person." The Mystic Pavilion does have information about the Ghost King Cave, but it's not cheap. It costs 100 King-class soul stones. Shunjizi could almost hear the sound of a pile of soul stones ringing in his ears. In his eyes, Yunsheng had become a fat sheep waiting to be slaughtered. "Baba, 100 King tier soul stones. Old man, why don't you just go rob a bank?" Before Yunsheng could react, baby sheep, who was standing on her shoulder, almost fell off. If its master had 100 King tier soul stones, it would go crazy with joy. This old man actually asked for King tier soul stones right off the bat. King tier demonic beasts were comparable to martial gods and saint-level Dharma kings. Even in the underworld, where demonic beasts were abundant, it was impossible to gather 100 king-tier soul stones in such a short time. Ing Chuan and Ing Yu from the 100 Thunder sect had spent half a month before they barely found the weakest king-tier Scarlet Fire Treant in the Wei Fog Forest. Hey, I was wondering why that little fat sheep on your back doesn't know how to watch its mouth. Be careful not to piss this old man off. I'll roast it and eat it. Little fellow, what your master wants to know is the Ghost King Cave. That's the place where the phantasm Ghost King's bones are buried. If you really enter the Ghost King Cave, let alone 100 king-tier soul stones, even 10,000 would be a profit for you. The old man blew his beard and glared. Buy it or not, this old man just released the news last night. I haven't had time to sell it yet. Otherwise, you wouldn't have gotten a chance to buy it. Shinjizi rolled his eyes. He thought that a big fat sheep had come, but it turned out to be a penniless one. He said unhappily, "If you don't have any soul stones, then get out. Don't disturb this old man's nap." After saying that, he unceremoniously kicked Yunsheng out. Although Yunsheng was not good at business, she and Tianyi Yu were at least sworn brothers. How could she not see through the business people's faces and tricks? She dared to guarantee that even if she spent 100 king-tier soul stones to buy the news, this old man would sell it to 10 or even 100 people in a single turn. The Phantasm Ghost King was a person who was unpredictable. He was a restless person when he was alive. The Ghost King cave that he had designed for himself would definitely be filled with traps and dangers. If there was a large group of people exploring the Ghost King cave, the difficulty of finding the Heart Distress Lantern would definitely increase greatly. However, this was a matter for the future. Before that, Yunsheng still had to think of a way to gather the 100 soul stones. Helpless, Yunsheng could only walk out of the Mystical Abilities Pavilion and take stock of the valuable items on her. She practically emptied the Beast Language Ring, but Yunsheng only took out 67 9th-level soul stones. According to the conversion rate of soul stones used in the underworld and the human world, 100 9th-level soul stones were only equivalent to 1 king-tier soul stone. These soul stones were not even enough for 1 king-tier soul stone. Of course, there was another way, which was to barter. Yunsheng's Summoning Demon's Hand and Immortal Holy Grail were divine artifacts. Even in the underworld, they were first-rate treasures. However, this was obviously not a good idea. Once the divine artifacts were exposed, Yunsheng's journey to the underworld would definitely be filled with bloodshed. Without soul stones, she would not be able to use them as collateral. Yunsheng calculated again. Even if she went all out to hunt king-tier demonic beasts, she would need at least a year to gather 100 king-tier soul stones. By then, the so-called news of her emerging from the underworld would become a daydream. The Ghost King Cave would probably be emptied out by others. Moi, my dearest master, why don't we kill him and rob him? Moi did not learn the good things, but learn the bad things. It gestured with its fleshy wings and made a throat-slitting action. Although that old man does not have any magic or do-chi waves around him, he dares to take charge of the Mystical Abilities Pavilion alone. He is definitely not simple. Yunsheng had also observed the Mystical Abilities Pavilion. The entire Mystical Abilities Pavilion was not guarded. In Jima County, where the Thousand Yama sect, 100 Cloud sect, and other factions were in great numbers, the Mystical Abilities Pavilion could not be so simple. A powerful dragon would not fight a local snake. Yunsheng did not want to become enemies with a Mystical Abilities Pavilion. Moi, I got it. Dear Master, you don't have a soul stone, but maybe the Qilin boy has one. Didn't you always say that the Qilin boy's things are yours? Baby Sheep was worthy of being Yunsheng's natal summoned beast. It was taught by Yunsheng to be quite modern. Only then did Yunsheng remember that Bobo was right. Not long ago, her beast language ring had provided for the super-rich Yi Baiming. You're tuning into the Romance Rendezvous YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference. as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.